Whoops. Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you doing? This is James from My Take on Reality. I thought I would drop a quick video, but then I was like, you know what? Video schmidio, we got to do a live because I've been wanting to do this particular live for a couple days now. I had some things going on which prevented me from doing it, but I'm back here today to talk about sister wives before tonight's episode. Now, before I get into it, I want to make sure that everybody can see me and hear me clearly. So let's get some ones in the chat so that way I know that everything is copacetic. I had a little late start because I was getting some technical difficulties, so I thought that I would just want to make sure that I'm good to go now. All right, I see some ones popping up in the chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys joining me. I know for some of you this was kind of last minute. It was just in your zone immediately. And it took you a little while to be like, what the hell? James is on during the day? Yes, I am. I will be on tonight as well after Sister Wives air. So don't worry, we're still doing the after show, but I wanted to get a show in beforehand. Thank you guys so much. Hey, what's going on? Big shout out to Local Art Witch. She was the first one in the house saying hello to everybody to start the show off. So I want to give a big salute to her or them. I'm not sure who they are, but thank you so much. I appreciate it. This is going to be a good time. Michelle Trax, thank you very much. Said you're so entertaining. I quit watching Sister Wives and just watch you. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I mean, part of the problem with Sister Wives is the fact that if you really think about where they are now, I'm just going to talk a little bit before we get started on the show, but where they are now, a lot of what's happening is zero information. We're covering a lot of the old stuff and we're kind of going over some of the old issues like Cody Pass, how their money works, things of that nature. But the things that we're talking about are typically defunct issues as far as the family is concerned. What do I mean by that? A defunct issue, for instance, would be how the finances work. The finances don't work that way anymore because the family finances only worked when they were a family. They are no longer a family or operating as a family. So therefore, us understanding how their money worked when they came onto the show all the way through to when the ladies started departing from the family isn't really new information. It's just merely, if anything, for me, a lot of it is confirmation because these are things that I kind of suspected was going on from the beginning. So it's not that, oh, wow, I can't believe it. Cody's actually stealing money from the family fund and he's expecting them to kick into the family fund and nobody, and he's the only one controlling the family fund. I'm not surprised by that. So that's the first thing. Like Cody Pass, that's another thing. It's really a defunct issue because if you really think about it, everybody except for maybe Robin and Cody have moved on and moved past Cody Pass. Nobody else is sitting there relying on Cody Pass to be their only form of income or their only asset, their only monetary hold or, place where they can reside. Nobody is relying on that. So what you're having now is basically a lot of safe conversations. These are safe conversations mostly because they don't have anything to do with anything. There's no skin in the game. There's nothing at stake here. So when they're talking about Cody Pass, Janelle has 159 acres down in North Carolina. Do you really think, aside from the principle, like I'm not dismissing the principle, I think there are principalities up in this joint that make you go after Cody for the rights to Cody Pass. Like you're just not going to get me for $200,000 and think that it's going to be okay. Like I agree with that. So yeah, go get your money. But at the same time, you're sitting on 159 acres and it's hard for me to think that you would be struggling or worried about 4. So yeah, it's there, but it's not really there. Christine doesn't really have anything going on. Like, if you really think about it, and this is no shot to Christine and her relationship, because I think that there are good reasons as to why she should hold her relationship back from criticism or observation, because it could damage her marriage. But when we really think about it, what do we really know about Christine? What have we seen about her life with David, other than they're making money moves? Like that, we see them buying a house, we see them buying a rental property, but we don't know anything about their relationship at all. And no, not saying that we're entitled to, but I'm just saying for the sake of the show, and if this is a reality show that's, uh, chronicling their lives, we don't know anything about their lives. Mary, yeah, she's living down in Parowan. She's hanging out with her friend Jen, but I can find out more about what's going on with Mary's life on Instagram than I can on Sister Wives, which is a show that I'm supposed to be watching to find out about Mary's life. In fact, that's really the only show I feel comfortable commenting on with regard to any of these ladies, their lives or their situations. I don't feel comfortable really going on to Instagram trying to comment heavily or criticize heavily any of their actions or participations as far as their reality or their social media presence is concerned. I just don't feel comfortable with it. It feels kind of, I guess in a way it's all gossipy, but it really feels gossipy if I go onto social media and try to drop bombs on my station, like, oh yeah, that's what they said on Instagram, because everybody lies on Instagram, social media. I'd rather talk about things that we all can see and we can all agree with. Like sometimes that's the best source of conversation and discussion for me, is that we can all come to understandings on certain points. We might disagree, but at least let's agree that something happened. We might disagree as to why it happened or what the result of it was or what the consequences were, but at least we all can agree that something happened. And I think that like all those things with their disengagement from a lot of the show, involving the show in their day-to-day decisions, things that are going on in their lives, I think that that's eventually going to erode and destroy the Sister Wives franchise. So I mean, that's, I guess, a little doom and gloom on Sunday. Oh no. But I'm going to be here and I'm going to be talking about more stuff. Guys, I got a lot of stuff planned before we jump into everything happening. Hey, Lizzie B's in the house. Thank you for coming in, Lizzie. I appreciate you. I gotta hook up some email stuff so that you guys know what's going on. Lizzie B Trooper jumped on, and my super moderator, she jumped on and she's helping me out. Uh, but we have to look at the situation for what it is, and like Lizzie B mentions uh, the Christine's book. She says, I created a mock-up of Christine's book last year. I so wanted her to write a book. I manifested it so hard. It finally happened. It's on my reality Facebook page. Go check it out. And that's my Take on Reality Facebook page. Go check it out. I will check it out. But here's the crazy part, is that her book can really go one of two ways. Christine book can either go one of two ways. One, she toes the company line. She doesn't really say anything. Maybe she just put some stuff in here, a little spice here, a little spice there, sell some pages, turn some pages, but it's not going to really tell us anything. Or she could burn the boats. Like she could really go to town. And at this point, I think that they really need to put the show through a crucible. Like the show has to, because the show is fundamentally different from where it started. And I think this is a good point to hit the jump off point. But the show is fundamentally different from where it started from. So we'll get into that now. I won't hold you guys too long. This will be a relatively, well, I guess not even relatively short live. This is going to be what I'm going to try to hold is more of a standard live, where I'm going to try to do 2 hours as opposed to the 5 and 6 I normally do. Because brother man like talking. But he got a lot to say. He just has things to say. So we're going to try to keep it down to 2 hours. I want to run through a lot of my what I wanted to present as far as like a video type segment, and then we're going to get into you guys commentary, hear what you guys have to say. If you want to call into the show, that's fine. You're always welcome to leave comments in the comment section. Just remember, keep it chill, keep it cool in the chat. YouTube is a place to go to have fun and for recreation, is not to try to come in and vindicate the wrongs of society. Like, don't feel like you have to come in here and beat people up on the YouTube page, because it's not appropriate. Like here, I like to have conversations, not necessarily arguments. We can have discussions, it doesn't necessarily have to be debates. If you like Mary and somebody else don't like Mary, that's cool. It's okay. Everybody don't have to like who you like. And I'm sure we're all adults and we all feel the same way. It's just sometimes I feel like somebody got to say it out loud. And so I did. All right. So here's the subscribe to My Take on Reality link. That's right. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not yet subscribed. Thank you so much. Oh, we got a super chat. Darlene Hall, $2 super chat. Please hit that like button, friends. Yes, please hit that like button so I can get my likes up and then people will know and start seeing my channel and we can grow this bad boy so we can all have some fun. But thank you so much, Darlene. Let me give you a little something, Darlene, because I appreciate you first in the box. Darlene coming through. And then we're going to kick off this the thing I wanted to talk about. Where is my stuff? Oh, here we go. Thank you so much, Darlene. I appreciate you. All right, guys. Here's where I was kind of coming from. Like I know on the thumbnail, I had a picture of Cody, where Janella is gonna stand there, she's gonna speak her truth, and Cody's like, she need to shut the F up because she's gonna ruin everything. And it really strikes me when we talk about sister wives, because I was talking earlier about where the show started. Now, where the show started from the beginning, there were people who liked Cody. Like as crazy as that sounds now, like that would be like such a foreign concept right now. There were people who actually liked Cody, were fans of Cody, thought Cody was a good dude because of the way the show was presented, right? And as we went through the show, we see a change in Cody. Like things start to look a little different. Things start looking a little shady. Some of us, I guess I'm more of a pessimist. I like to think I'm a optimistic pessimist. Okay. Like I like to see the sunny side of people, but part of me always expects that people will do what people do. It's like the reality versus the ideal, right? And I constantly have that struggle. And with this particular show, it's no different. I'm all open to understanding and seeing and talking about and discussing alternative lifestyles, how people live their lives different and conduct their relationships differently. But that's, to me, not really what this show was and what this show has become. This show, for me, has been and has become more a study, not of misogyny or this guy who brought these women into this polygamous relationship and is destroying them psychologically, emotionally, you know what I mean, spiritually, and everything else. This is a show about power. I think that this show is rooted in the study of power and how it affects people in their interpersonal dynamic, the relationship dynamic that they have with other folks. That I think that that's what we're seeing. That's what we've been watching the whole time. There's a Notes to Self 444, Corey and Melanie. On their channel, they constantly say that early on, big shout out to them. They came in. I got to bring them back because I had a lot of fun talking to them. Very cool people. But on their platform, they talk all the time about how early on when the show first aired. Now, for those that don't know, Melanie, both of them were a part of the AUB. Melanie, in fact, is the daughter of the current prophet, the leader of the AUB, the guy who's in charge of the AUB right now. Melanie is his daughter. Okay. And they went through the whole thing. But they had talked about and relayed to many of us how they didn't watch the show in the beginning. Nobody in AUB watched the show in the beginning. Now you say, why didn't they watch the show in the beginning? They talk about them. I mean, it's like they famous or something. The reason they didn't watch the show is because to them, it wasn't reality. It wasn't a reality show. It was all bull stuff. It was bull caca. Okay, as far as they were concerned, because they understood that this isn't how it works. This isn't how the things they're saying on the show isn't how it actually works in practice. And one of the things that I wanted to pose to the audience, the folks who came in and participating in the live, because I like to get you guys perspective. I wanted to propose a survey, and did my survey, it kicked. Damn it. See, I thought I was setting stuff up, man. I want to propose a survey. And the survey is, over the course of the seasons of the show, did Cody change and become selfish after meeting Robin, or was he always this way? Was this always who he was, or is this somebody he turned into as the show continued? I'm going to post this now. Let me just get these I have to redo the answers and questions and stuff, because apparently YouTube doesn't want to cooperate with a brother on a Sunday. They was like, easy like Sunday morning, my foot. But we're going to post that. Okay, there it is. All right, so we have a poll going. Did Cody change and become selfish after meeting Robin, or was he always this way? And let me know what you guys think. And if you guys think that like Cody was always this way, or did this something that like when Cody was working with the OG3 and he was in love with him and he loved his family and everything was going wonderful, and then all of a sudden in comes this the devil through the back door, the way they do. Slide in when you ain't paying attention and you're starting to feel comfortable. That's when you know things about to go bad. Things going too good. That's when the devil do his best work. And so Robin comes into the family and all of a sudden disrupts everything and causes these problems and causes a split amongst the family. Division in the family. And as the good book says, a house divided amongst itself cannot stand. Oh, we on Sunday time now, y'all. So is that what caused Cody to change? Or was this always who this guy was? Now, I could argue, like if I was forced to have a debate with somebody, I could jump on either side of this situation, and I think I could do a decent enough job trying to make the case for either side. So I think that there's really no bad answer. There's no incorrect answer. It's just opinion. But from what I'm seeing, and like I had said before, kind of what I intonated before, was that when we talk about like sister wives and the show and what we're actually watching, when I say that this is a study in power, a study in interpersonal relationships and the power dynamics there too, what am I talking about? It's not just about misogyny. I think it's too easy to a point. I think it's almost too easy to say that Cody is an evil guy and he's a wicked man and he's a terrible person, and that's why he's carrying himself the way he is. I think that at the same time, there's a lot of things Cody does that I don't like and I'm not a fan of, and I think can be considered to be evil in some regards. I don't think that people are misguided as far as that's concerned. But I think that when you talk about like ideas of misogyny and things of that nature, what happens and what I see happen through my observation is that a lot of times it's broken down into individual vices. It's the fault of the individual. He's doing something wrong. He's the one that's misguiding his family. He's the one taking advantage of the wives. But I think that it goes deeper than that. Because if it was just Cody, then we can cure the misogyny, the sexism, the oppression. We could cure that with one fell swoop. You just remove Cody from the equation and all of a sudden, ta-da, it's fixed. But when we look at it, and when we look at it, there is a point where I think we have to really look at the idea or notion that the misogyny which existed in the Brown family was well beyond Cody. It went far, it was further than Cody. It reached further than Cody. Why do I say that? Because let me give the let's do the results from the poll. Oh, okay. Did Cody change and become selfish after meeting Robin, or was he always this way? Kody changed over time 20%. This is who Kody always was, 80%. And I am willing to say that I think that the 80% of people might be right. Now, here's where I think that the caveat comes in. I think that when you're dealing with a system or an institution that supports a certain oppressive behavior, misogyny, racism, sexism, whatever, ageism, any of the isms, when you have an institution which supports it, it gives you the freedom to not be that person who's doing it. What do I mean by that? I think that there are parts of it where the wives would say, this isn't who Kody was. He's a different person now. He was never this way when we all got together. All of a sudden, he became a different person. I acknowledge what they said, but I would counter that opinion or that observation with simply this suggestion. Maybe he didn't have to be that way. Maybe he wasn't that way because he didn't have to be that way. See, that's the miracle of live TV. You got to see me mess that up. Whereas if I'd have did an edit or prepared video, I'd have fixed it. Okay, maybe he was always that way, but he didn't have to present himself that way. So what that means is essentially this. He could sit there and if he say, he got up one morning, he's over Christine's house, and on his way out from Christine's house, she doesn't have any breakfast for him. He goes out of the house, he's hungry. He doesn't have to say, look here, woman, when I'm here out sleeping at night and I wake up, you better have some breakfast ready for me. I want 2 scrambled eggs, I want a side of bacon, some strapple, and some toast. And I want you to make it in the toaster, not in the oven like you've been doing because you're afraid that the toaster going to kill everybody because apparently there's more people getting killed by toasters than shark attacks. All right. The thing is that he doesn't have to go to Christine and say anything. He can go to work because they're in the community. He goes to church on Sunday because they're in the community. And all he has to say is, yeah, I had a tough time on Monday, my nights with Christine, because she doesn't get up and make me breakfast. So sometimes I leave out of the house, I'll be hungry. And you know how it is when you hangry and you're just making a comment. And what's going to happen? In these situations, you have the community coming to Christine and saying, Christine, you don't send your man out of the house hungry. That's not what you do. It's your job and your responsibility to make sure your man is fed. And at that point, Kody doesn't have to be the bad guy. He doesn't have to say anything to them. He wants something to happen. All he has to do is go and say something to somebody in the church or say something to one of their parents. Mary's mother. There was a time when Mary had said before, she had confessed that early on when her mom was still alive, rest in power to Mary's mom. When she was around, she had went to her mom and she was complaining about Kody. And she was saying how unhappy she was in her situation. And this is before, from what I understand, this is before the show. And the mom looked her in the face and told her that she got to suck it up and she got to deal with it because this is what it's like to be married. These are your responsibilities. You have somebody who is enforcing the rules without you having to do it. And this is the power of institutional or systemic misogyny. Kody didn't have to be the bad guy. So early in the relationship, because they were in the community and he had that reinforcement, he didn't have to say anything bad. He didn't have to be the bad guy. He could be the good one. He had the freedom to be the good one. Now, the problem is that when we catch up to the family, a lot of things could happen at the same time, which could be correlation and not necessarily causation. They happen about the same time, but they don't cause or create a situation where this occurs. What could be a thing that correlates? A thing that correlates that we a lot of times say is causation is Robin coming into the family. All of a sudden, Kody changes because he's trying to, he get a swift of that, he little swift of that thang, and he's like, oh, nose wide open. And next thing you know, he's chasing after Robin like a little puppy dog. Okay, he chasing Robin like a kitten. You put some milk out. You know what they say about cats: don't feed a cat because you never get rid of it. Okay. Go, you could Cody Robin can't get rid of Cody's ass now. You know what I mean? Let him sample some of that milk. My man is hooked. So you have that, which a lot of us have kind of ascribed as being the causation of the breakdown of the family, the causation of Cody acting more in the vein of I'm going to be the patriarch. But is it causation or correlation? Because what also happened when Robin came into the family, all of a sudden, because Robin's mom and dad, because this could be causation. Robin's mom and dad happened to live in Vegas, and Robin wanted to, be a part of the Brown family. And it just so happens that Utah was doing an investigation. And instead of them moving out of Utah to say Wyoming or another place where there's polygamous communities, AUB communities, they decide they want to move to Vegas, which is not far from where her father and her stepfather and her mom live. And then all of a sudden she get pregnant, so on and so forth. But by them doing that, they moved out of their community. They moved away from their social pressured reinforcement on the values that Cody had for the family. So in this instance, because now he's in Las Vegas and he can't walk out to church or to the neighbors or to the community people, the community leaders, the church leaders, and say, these are my problems. And somebody come down the way, and one of the elders come down all of a sudden want to have a meeting with the wives and talk about how the wives mistreating their husband. They need to fall in line and fall behind them and do these things. And he gets to say, we're not patriarchal. Right? But now he's in Vegas. Now he has to enforce a lot of these rules. He has to create these situations where he's, directing the family openly and pushing them a certain way. And that's why I think that the power dynamic comes in. That's why I think that this, like the poll, like the numbers have changed a little bit. Did Cody change and become selfish after meeting Robin, or was he always this way? There's slight change. Cody changed over time, 22%. This is who Cody always was, 78%, down from 80%. So it looks like some folks are saying, no, he changed because of Robin. And I can see that being a thing. But sometimes this is who people always were. This is who he is. He grew up in a society where where it was instilled in him that these women were supposed to follow him. One of the funniest things to me is that Cody always holds out the fact that he's alpha male. I'm alpha male. I'm a boss. I'm an alpha male. Why is he an alpha male? One of the things that he hangs his hat on as far as being an alpha male is the fact that he has multiple wives. And like same what I was saying about the institutional power and influence that he lived under. He didn't have multiple wives because he went out and, as us older folks would say, he didn't go out and mac for women. He didn't mac daddy for women. He didn't go put his thing down. He wasn't hitting them all with the magic stick. You know what I mean? Making them holler, give them $1. You know what I mean? He wasn't doing that. He was giving these women, he was basically gifted these women by his community. So he fell into a circumstance where he became an alpha male. But it wasn't off of something that he himself had did or was doing to these women. He didn't go to these women and say, change their minds. It wasn't a thing where these women were sitting around like, I'm going to be a monogamist. If you can't do it right, you can't say it right. I'm not going to be a monogamist. I'm going to be a monogamist, right? And so it wasn't like they were committed to being monogamous and all of a sudden they met Cody and all of a sudden he twisted their minds up and now all of a sudden they want to live in the house and be sister wives. He was gifted these women. And part of that influence is what also helped to maintain his family, I think, over the course of the years. And one of the reasons why the family fell apart, if we're going to be honest, one of the reasons the family fell apart is because they didn't have that social reinforcement where somebody was coming back and saying to these ladies, this is what you need to do, because if you want this relationship to work, you got to stuff down what you have going on. You have to put your ego in the back seat and follow your man's lead. They didn't have that. So that's kind of where I see like the power dynamic coming into play. Also, let me just make sure. Okay. Also wanted to touch on just a couple things. Make sure I got everything. Hopefully everybody is doing well. Let's see. They're talking about like the real enemy. And that's what I mean. Like, as far as like the real enemy here, like we're gonna look at the villainous uh the villainous person, the villainous entity. I think that Cody and Robin are at fault. They do have some culpability when it comes to the wrongdoings and the ill things that were thrust upon these ladies and the family and the children. I think that they wholeheartedly participated in it. Okay. But I think that when we talk about the true villainous nature of what made these situations horrible and bad, we have to look at the organization which they were a part of, the AUB. Now, I've very rarely come out and taken a stand against the AUB because, frankly, I don't feel like I know enough about them to say for sure they're evil sons of bitches. Some of them bitches. I don't feel comfortable with that because I don't know them well enough or know their history well enough. Like I know some things, but the things I know, well, I'd say the things that were presented to me make me kind of look at it sideways. But I am just saying that I do recognize that even if the AUB as a religious organization may or may not be a cult, it's funny to me that a lot of people who used to be in that organization are calling it a cult. I'm just saying, right? But aside from that, I cannot ignore the realities of the influence of the AUB in these communities and thereby causing these people to participate in these family dynamics where everybody in the family is being victimized. I don't think that they're necessarily supporting misogyny in the form of a man putting a man because they love that man so much. I don't think that they push Cody to the front of his family because they think Cody's a wonderful dude and they just want to support Cody because he's a cool dude. I think that ultimately, in a weird way, part of the reason why a lot of the folks in the AUB and even in the Mormon faith kind of fall into like some of the multi-level marketing businesses, network marketing business schemes or scams, however you want to term it, is because their faith is built like a lot of these pyramid schemes are already contrived. So you have the church, then you have the downline, which would be the husband who reports to the church. Then you have the further down line, which will be the wives. And you could have, in this case, you have Cody. Then you have 4 wives. And then under those wives, you have Mary with 1 downline. You have Christine with 6, Janelle with 6, and Robin with 5. And they all flow up to the wives who flow into the husband, who flow into the church. And the church supports these practices and these procedures because it benefits the church, not because it benefits Cody. In the case of Robin, if Robin is still cool with the AUB, like I think Melanie and Corey have talked about it before. Would Robin be welcome back into the AUB? Absolutely. And if you look at it, well, Robin is of an age where she's what, 46, 47 years old? She's past her baby making prime years. Like, even if she could squeeze a child out now, which would be a crazy high risk pregnancy. Okay. No shade on Robin. It just is what it is. That'd be crazy high risk. But even if she could squeeze a child out now, she's not pumping out 4 or 5 puppies for the next husband that she takes in the AUB. But would the AUB take her back? Yes. And I think they would take her back because when she comes back, she's coming back with half of Cody's money. This is part of the reason why I think they also support the institutions and the structures of these families. All of a sudden, you have a bunch of wives, and the wife that you take care of is the legal wife who is tied into the system and relies on the system that's taking care of her, and that system is supported by the AUB church. So when that husband has that legal wife and she's tied to all his property, when the husband dies, the legal wife gets all the property, then the AUB only technically has to go after the legal wife. They don't have to worry about those other 5 women, those other 3 women who don't have any property in their name. They're concerned about the legal wife. They're concerned about those assets. They're concerned about that stuff. I mean, there's a million ways you could break this out where it's not necessarily misogyny from the sense of supporting the man in the situation, but it's misogyny in the sense of supporting the institution, which is the AUB. And I think that that's a conversation that a lot of times we get very excited. I'm guilty of it too. Get very excited about smashing the hell out of Cody because he does a lot of crazy stuff on the show. That the AUB, in my opinion, gets a huge slide, and the influences of the AUB gets a huge pass as far as like the influential wrongdoing of Cody participating in some of this stuff. So, so I think that's that. I do have a couple clips because I had to bring some receipts, son. I had to bring some receipts. So I had some things that I wanted to talk about, some clips I wanted to point out with regard to like how some of these evil things that we're watching, especially as far as the power dynamic and how it has affected these ladies. Because again, I think that a lot of what Cody is doing is influenced by his participation in this particular faith. Even though he says, I don't walk with that flock anymore, you're still carrying that word around in your heart because of the way you conduct yourself. The church itself, in a way, in order for you to take advantage, strike that redirect. In order for you to take advantage of people, again, the magic of editing. I'm missing the magic of editing, the magic button. But when you are taking advantage of people, one of the first things that you do to make it easier to take advantage of somebody is you dehumanize that person. You make them less than. You make that person a burden. And because of the teachings that he received when he was younger, and the organization of which he was a part taught him that the wives and the children were all burdens to him. They were all obstacles to him reaching his goals. This is something he said on the show before. They're all obstacles to him reaching his life goals. And because they're all in the way and they're all obstacles, they're burdens and they're responsibilities that he carries like a cross. Like Jesus carried a cross over Calvary. You're carrying these women and these children on your back. And this is your burden to become, this is part of your suffering and your burden to become a better person so that you can get into heaven and be a true God at the end. And then when you leave the church, it's not like you don't see these women. You all of a sudden you become enlightened and you no longer see these women as a burden, these kids as a burden. You don't see them as something that have to be carried along. You don't see them as something that stood in the way of your happiness. You don't see them as something that was taking away financially from you. So the things that they had, the things that they've acquired, they acquired because of you, and you want your cut. And that's what I think we see a lot in this. I did want to play Mary's reality check. Let's take a look at this. I called it Mary's reality check because at the end of the day, this is an example, one of 3 examples I have, where I was going to talk about how Cody's influence as far as the church came in took hold, and we actually got to see it on the show. And again, I don't just think that it's Cody, but I think that there's a hidden hand of the AUB behind a lot of this, because we see it as Cody did these women wrong, but people in this faith who I have spoke to say it as, this is what happens. This isn't a Cody thing. This is a polygamous man thing. And in some cases, this is, if you get into like deeper traces of misogyny, this is what some guys do. If they marry somebody and she goes out and she becomes hyper successful, then you owe me your success too. And that becomes very, very problematic. And we'll talk about that a little bit on the other side. But let's take a look at Mary's reality check.
There's no protection, Mary, especially for you. You're on one piece. You would get a third. In technicality, you get a third of one of those pieces. And that's not fair, right?
No.
And because there's really not a whole lot of legal agreements, but there were like family relationships. I mean, like there's a lot I think that we can stand on.
Yeah, there's things that we did because we were family and we at that time worked together.
I was a father.
At that time, we was working together. We was all in it together. What happened? Yep. Because that's the way they did it. Like they worked together. And part of the thing is, and I've said this before, but I really want to lay into it a little bit. The reason why they worked together is because they had just enough money to survive. The moment they started to have excess, that's when you started having problems. The moment you had extra dollars, you had, it wasn't, do we pay off the water bill and just use candles for the rest of the month because we don't have enough to put on the light bill? Or do we put some on the water, put some on the electric bill, and hopefully nobody should give us a shut-off notice before the month's out, and maybe Cody could sell like a billboard or whatever? That's different than when all your bills are paid and you have money in the bank. Because when all your bills are paid and you have money in the bank, now you have something for somebody to go back and get. Now is the point where the question of integrity starts to come into play. The question of character starts to come into play. It's easy for us to sit there and talk about dividing these bills, okay? When the bills hit, like you got it's $100. You got 25 on it. You put 25 on that. You know what I mean? That's easy to divide those bills up. It becomes complicated when you're looking at, you have a stack of money. You got $10,000 in the bank. You have one wife wants to go buy some new shoes. You got another wife wants to, buy something for her kids. You have another wife wants to go out, maybe redo like a room in her house. And then you got another wife wants to go on vacation for 11 days for a honeymoon and buy a bunch of Amazon stuff coming to the house every day and have a bunch of amethyst art. Like, it's different. And that's where we start to get into the question of one of the most ridiculous things that I felt was said on the show, but I thought it was a perfect example of how this mindset works. And that's what I refer to as the Nunya excuse. I call this, back in the day when I was a young man and my beard was all black. I might dye my wife said I should dye that. He said, you need to dye that shit, looking crazy. But but when I was a young man, they used to have a thing called Nunya. Okay, you'd be like, oh, what you doing today, Nunya? Nunya? Yeah, none of your damn business. Okay, and that's where I think Cody had said basically how he spent money and what he was doing with money was none of Janelle's business. And this is where I was saying that Cody was telling her that you need to shut the hell up and stop talking about my business. Because he doesn't want to have this conversation. He operated because of what he learned in his participation in the AUB, in this institution. He learned that silence was golden. It's not golden because it helps everybody and comparison and jealousy destroys everybody. Silence and compartmentalization is key because it keeps everybody separate and nobody knows what anybody else is doing. And it's not just a matter of, well, I don't want you to be jealous because you're comparing. I don't want you comparing because I don't want you to know that I'm doing what for one of you that I'm not doing for the rest of you. I'm not giving you 11 days on vacation. I'm giving you a night in the woods with a tent and a blanket. That was an episode where Janelle and Cody went for a night out where they went to the woods and they camped out for the night. And Cody wanted to buy a sleeping bag, and she said, no, let's use the blankets. And he got mad and pissy. But then he'll go on vacations, straight up vacations with Robin. So no, you don't want them comparing and having conversations. Because even if they say, well, Janelle might make the excuse, well, I prefer to do camping. I like camping. I don't like camping because camping is like practicing to be homeless. So that's not my thing. But like if you're doing a camping thing, that's your thing, that's your thing. My brother do camping. I just don't get into it. I ain't sleeping on the ground, not on purpose. But she go camping, that's fine. Go camping. But if you're doing camping, you should invest just as much in my camping trip than you're putting on a vacation trip for Robin. If I'm going to camping, I should go to a nice place to camp. I should be able to camp somewhere decent, somewhere nice. I shouldn't be at the local park or in the backyard sleeping on the ground, and you're going somewhere where you got to get on a plane and you need a passport. That's not appropriate. So you don't want to have comparison. So that's why I think that it was so important and so critical that one of the skills that he learned from his community, from his involvement with his church, from the institution that he was a part of, was keeping secrets and not sharing what was going on. And that's where we get this.
I was a father to 18 and a husband to more than just Janelle. So we had a lot of places that money needed to go that weren't always Janelle's business. But Janelle was doing the bookkeeping, so some of the bills to be paid by all of us were supposed to be paid by her.
And that was the blame game. And this is where I would say, if I was Janelle's friend, Janelle, if you ever see this, girl, that's where he trying to set your ass up. Okay? When he sit there and say that there's bills that should have been paid by you and imply that those bills weren't being paid by you, I think it's reflective of two things. One, I think he's taking heat off of himself by saying that you're the one who mismanaged the money. I think that's the subtle implication of what he said. There's a second part of it that I think he unwittingly admitted. And here's what I think he admitted that he's not ready to recognize. I think he unwittingly admitted that historically they would have the family fund and Cody would go out and Cody would Cody, and he would spend money how he want to spend money. He would do what he want to do, and maybe some of the other ladies would do what they want to do. And ultimately, because in my opinion, I can't prove this, I don't have any evidence to prove it. It's just my speculation. But in my observation and my suspicion, Janelle was the chief breadwinner in the family. She made the most money. And if there was a time where Cody may have made more money than her, say in a random month, he had like a blowout billboard sale month, her money was greater because it was more consistent. She consistently made more money than he did. Okay. So with that being said, when Cody would come out, he would come in and he would hand her bills. And he would take the family fund, and he would siphon off for things that he wanted, like the luxury car and the stuff like that. And ultimately, Janelle would figure it out. She would be the one to go back and figure out what to do and how to do it. And so when the bills came up short, she would take money from her pocket, her share, to make sure those bills got paid because she was the one who was responsible. And so now you have Cody who has more money, and lottery winners, when they hit the lottery, one of the more dangerous things is that you have people who may be broke when they play the lottery. They have zero money in the bank, maybe 17 cents or something. They got $20 in overcharge fees or whatever. They play the lottery, they win $10 million. And then after like 2 years, now not only are they completely broke because they've gone through that $10 million, but now they owe $5 million to somebody. And you say, how did it get worse? It got worse because they had access to larger amounts of money. And I think that that's where Cody falls in, both he and Robin. they have access to larger amounts of money. They're able to get more credit extended to them. And because if you don't know how to work credit, you don't understand how finances work. When you get a bigger credit limit and you start to use that bigger credit limit and you think you can go out and you're not just buying shirts and maybe going to an occasional dinner at like some casual dining place like Sizzler or whatever. I don't even think they have Sizzler no more, but like Ruby Tuesday, I don't even think they have Ruby Tuesdays no more. TGI Friday, I think they're closed. Like you're going wherever, right? Big carousels or whatever, right? Bennigan's or wherever the hell. Bennigan's is definitely closed. But you go into these like casual dining restaurants. Instead of you doing that, you're going to the big time restaurants. You're instead of you maybe splurging and getting yourself a pair of rims or an audio system, you're buying a whole car. You're getting $1 million house. I'm sorry, you sold that $1 million house for $1.7 million and you bought a $2.1 million house, and you're doing things like that. And you're still expecting the Janelle to come in and sweep up after you and take care of those bills. And this gets to the last thing I wanted to talk about, and then I'm going to open up the thing. I got to go through some of the oh, somebody said there are 2 Sizzlers in Flagstaff. Thank you so much. Yeah, they closed Sizzler. I haven't seen a Sizzler in forever. Tanya Smith. Thank you, Tanya. That's awesome. And I'll be getting to the super chats in a moment. Thank you guys so much. But the last thing I wanted to touch on was part of the, one of the many downsides to the misogynistic nature of this type of family. Especially as executed within these communities. Like I said, the support of these communities. One of the terrible things with this has always been the diminishment of these ladies' lights. Okay? In order for them to exist in these families, they have to be lesser than the people that they are so that they can fit into the shape of this family. So Cody could be comfortable. Like Janelle can't be an excellent business-minded person if it embarrasses Cody or makes Cody feel bad. So she can't know more than Cody. She can't press more than Cody presses. She can't fix situations. Like Janelle has said, if I was in charge of the money, the property would have been paid off. And I believe her when she said that. Not necessarily, and this is the crazy part, not necessarily because Janelle's like this crazy business-minded person, but because I think Janelle at least understands how bills work. I think that regardless of whether you think Janelle is like this business savant or not, I think that ultimately Janelle understands how bills work. If you generate a bill, you pay a bill. You pay the bill on time. I think Janelle understands that. And that's why Cody said that, there were bills Janelle's responsible for. If you're the one who's responsible for the bill and the money, dude, you're the money man because you're the man who's making all the decisions. I don't understand why you would entrust somebody like a Janelle to make these payments, especially you're implying that she's not paying everything. So why the freak would you give her the responsibility to do that? If you know so much about money. If you're so good with money, why would you do that? That makes no sense to me. Because at the end of the day, you put Janelle in charge of the family bills, whereas Cody maintained control over the family account, the family fund. Cody controlled the family fund. Janelle was responsible for the family bills. Now, it would make more sense to me if you're in charge of the bills, you would be in charge of the fund because you would use the fund to pay those bills. But that's not what was going on. And when we talk about the diminishment of the light and diminishment of who they are, if you look at this situation, like I joked around about ladies leaving these relationships, all of a sudden they start to look great. They looking great. They looking younger. They looking healthier. They losing all kinds of weight. They got all kinds of stuff going on. But even beyond like their physical appearance and their physical health, financially, every one of them is doing much better than Cody, or at least it appears to be so. Janelle Mary has the bed and breakfast. She has a successful multi-level marketing business, which I'm not a huge fan of, but she's doing it. Okay. I think she's like diamond level or whatever. Then she's training people on how to do that business. Same thing with Janelle. I think Janelle's like a diamond in Plexus. Like she's a brand ambassador for Plexus. She's killing it in Plexus, right? Making a ton of money. Bought 159 acres. She plans on doing like a development down there where they're going to have like a plant farm. They're going to do events, event location where you can do weddings and things of that nature. And they're also going to put up cabins and stuff so they can have kind of a little resort going on down there. That would be crazy if she's able to get that off the ground. It looks like she's on her way to doing so. Christine went out and she's all of a sudden, not in addition to getting married, she purchased a home with her husband. She's also starting a business where she's doing bed and breakfast and she's controlling properties. Something that Kody always wanted to do. Kody had always talked about having property and investment properties and doing like renting properties out. And that was one of the big things he talked about in Arizona with Coyote Pass. He wanted to cut up the lots and subdivide the lots and put up all these rental homes and become rich doing it. That's one of the things he actually said. And it looks like Christina is doing it. And you ask yourself, why are these ladies so successful at doing something that Kody is clearly not successful at? Because they appear to be, at least from their success, better and more inclined to be successful. And Kody is struggling. So at the end of the day, he did himself a disservice by not allowing them to be them. Could you imagine a world where these women were encouraged by Kody and they actually worked together, what they could have achieved? And that's the bigger point, is that by their influence of how to conduct these relationships within the AUB, they never learned to work with each other as a complete unit. Yeah, they work together out of necessity, but the moment they are, all of a sudden they started having things, they started getting things, they had already created a culture in which they were all diametrically opposed to one another. And so because they struggled and they fought and they didn't support each other, none of them could soar. They were so busy pulling each other down that none of them could actually take off. And that was by the nature and design of that particular family. But imagine what these ladies could have done if they were all working together on the same page. It would have been ridiculous. And Kody technically wouldn't have, the only thing Kody would have had to do realistically was get the hell out of the way. He just would have had to get out of the way. And they could have been crazy successful. The last thing I wanted to talk about, I know I said I had one last thing, but I'm going to give you a bonus thing. A bonus thing that I wanted to talk about was like the flexibility take on legality. Because I think that's also part of what plays into the idea of the influence they had from their church. When we talk about the flexibility of legality, they talked all the time about like their spiritual marriages being just as valid as the legal ones. Oh, I'm not worried about a legal marriage because we have the spiritual marriage, and that's just as good as the legal marriages are. Yeah, until they're not. I mean, Mary demonstrated that the legal marriage was important because she cried like a baby because she was getting divorced, legally divorced. And that's not a slight on Mary. That's not a shot because I understand and I agree with you. I agree with your perspective that marriage was important. Her being legally married to Kody tied her into the family, and not only tied her into the family, but tied her into the she was an equity stakeholder in the family. She had rights within the family. One of the things that they encourage in this particular faith is that when the women leave or they divorce, they do what a Mary did and walk away without seeking alimony or putting things in their name. When they get married or their husband, they're contributing to funds and they go to buy property. Don't put the houses and stuff in your name. Let him decide how to do it. That's not just a Kody thing. That's reinforced by their community. That's reinforced not only by their upbringing, but by the people that they surround themselves with. And I think that that's one of the things that we have to talk about too, when we talk about like how Kody is able to get away with as much as he's able to get away with. And before we say like that, out of our frustration that these ladies are stupid or they're dumb, I think that we also have to acknowledge that they grew up in a scenario, and thankfully because of the show, they were able to extricate themselves from a lot of the bad influences of their communities or their religious ties, but it's only because they were removed because of the show. There are people who are still tied into this faith, who what you could sit there with them all day and tell them till they blue in the face, have them watch this episode where Cody basically ripped these women off, and they could be in an identical situation and you couldn't convince them that their husband would do the same thing. Oh, Cody just did that because he's no longer part of the faith. He don't walk in tandem with the Lord. That's why he would do that. So, I mean, that would be like a whole thing too. Like we talk about legality. The fact that Cody's name didn't appear on any of Christine's children's birth certificates. And we watched that, especially became, now that Christine is trying to sue for child support, that became a key thing in part of the child support suit, which is why they probably encourage you not to put your name on stuff, because they would have to get paternity and everything else, and it could slow things down, especially if the parent dies. All right. If he dies, all of a sudden everybody get rushed out to cremation. He rushed about to get him cremated. Well, you can't get no Dana from ashes. I'm just saying. But the idea that he wasn't on any of Christine's kid stuff. But then we watched 2-3 episodes. We watched almost half a season where Cody was trying to be listed as the legal father for Robin's 3 kids. The second he started doing that, that begs the question, and this is where the women's autonomy was stripped away. Because the second he started doing that, Christine should have said, well, we're going to go down, before we put in some paperwork for you to adopt these 3, I'm going to put your name on my 6. Before you adopt these 3, and you assume all financial responsibility for these 3 kids, you're going to be on financial hook for my 6 kids that we had in our little spiritual agreement or spiritual marriage. That makes sense to me, right? So we have the kids and birth certificates. We talk about legality was important to the family. Legal marriage was important for Robin. Oh, him being legally married was important to Cody as far as Robin was concerned. Why? Because when he legally married Robin, it wasn't just because he could adopt those kids, but now he had a legal stake on that particular woman. And I think that was important to him as well. Because I think that deep down, Cody is a little insecure when it comes to Robin. So he wants to make sure he has as many obstacles in the way for her just packing her bag up and walking out on him, kind of like Christine did, kind of like what Janelle did, and ultimately kind of like what Mary did. By him having a legal marriage to Robin, she at least got to see him in court, and he has an opportunity to beg. Please don't leave me. Please, please don't take the milk away. Please. Okay? So you have that. Then, of course, when we talk about legal marriage to Robin, that's when they started talking about the houses and the states and making sure that everybody had their own separate stuff and whose stuff is protected and all that kind of thing. That's when all that became so critically important. When they go to Arizona, they force everybody to sell their houses in Las Vegas, ironically, because those houses would have been the estates of those separate women. So because Christine had her house in her name, that house would have become her estate for her kids. Same thing with Janelle. The only person whose house was a little complicated was Mary's, because when Mary purchased her home, it was also Cody's house, which is why I thought it was funny that Cody made such reference about Mary wanted that big ass house and she wanted to have her wet bar in the house. And that's ridiculous because that was Cody's house too. That big ass house was Cody's house. So I don't know what you complaining about, Huss. Your name was on that house. Technically, if you remember, everybody was sitting there, and when they were going around the table, you were approved. Christine, you were approved. Janelle, you were approved. They were individually approved. Robin was individually approved. That's why they had to give her the $30,000 to pay off her debts and get her credit right. The family had to get together to get her credit right so she could have an estate. But it seems like Kody forgot that when he talking about who owes who what. So her first step into having an estate for her kids was actually the family fund, which contributed to paying off her bills. But Mary's house was approved with Kody because Kody and Mary were legally married. That was Kody's house. Then, of course, after Mary or Robin and Kody got married, Kody added his name to Robin's house. And that's, if you go through the documents where they sold the houses, you can see that Mary's house, and Mary sold her house with Kody. And then Robin sold her house with Kody. But it was all for them to sell the houses in Las Vegas so that Kody could have access to all their estate money from their homes in Vegas, put it in a pile, and he would have access to that family fund. And I'm going to do a video about, well, I'll do a video. Maybe I'll do a live. Let me know if you guys want me to do a live. I'll put it up as a poll. You guys can tell me whether you want a video or you want another live talking about that house, because I have something special with regard to that home ownership stuff that I wanted to talk about. So we talked about like the birth certificates. We talked about like the houses, and all of this was done in an effort to propagate Kody. But I don't think that Kody did this necessarily by himself. I think that this is something that Kody learned from being a part of this particular faith for 30 years and watching these other people within his community do it to their families. And this is how he conducted his family. Why does he think Janelle owes him money for a business that he never contributed to, never did an ounce of work for, but any profit she made from her business, he thinks she should give him some? The house that Christine bought herself from her house money that she was paying in Las Vegas, she was paying those bills in Las Vegas for that house, right? Out of her sister wife money, like the rest of them. She was paying for her house. Then when she gets to Arizona, she took out the mortgage and she was paying the mortgage for her house in Arizona. Then all of a sudden, Kody comes in, still thinks he deserves half of that money. Where's the mindset from that? Oh, he's a narcissist. It's not just the fact that he's a narcissist. It's not just the fact that he's a misogynist. It's not just the fact that he thinks he's a patriarch. Where he got that mentality was from the faith that he belonged to, and was from the organization that he was a part of, and from the community that he is from. Let me know what you guys think. Now is the time that I'm about to open up this, open up the phone lines to give you guys an opportunity. Oh, I've been talking for a long time. but let me give a huge shout out to the folks who left some super chats. Let's go through these super chats. Deborah Beck, $5 super chat. Love your videos. Thank you so much, Deborah. I appreciate it. Thank you. Ayana Nairi, 99 cents super chat. No message, just the love. Thank you so much, Ayana. Appreciate it. Tanya Smith, $2 super chat. In my opinion, he was always selfish, but got worse in Arizona. Yeah. And I think it's all relatively worse too, because the more stuff he got, the more impactful and the more powerful and more devastating his decisions became. Because now they have resources. Before they didn't, they had very little to lose. So when he made like crazy decisions, like buying that Lexus. You know, Lexus isn't a bad car. Like, and I know, like, of all the, like, just as a guy who can fix a ar, you know, I'm not a mechanic, but I can fix a car. I've turned more than my fair share of wrenches. But, you know, Lexus is essentially a Toyota. Toyota and Honda, especially historically, a lot of those motors and transmissions were pretty much bulletproof. So, you know, of all the cars that you could get, like luxury cars you could get, a Lexus is not a bad car to get. Plus, the parts are relatively, easy to obtain. You can get aftermarket parts because a lot of them have subparts for like the Toyotas, which would fit the Lexus car. So you can swap a lot of those parts out. So it's not really crazy. I mean, if you don't know how to fix the car yourself, it could be a little crazy. Some of the stuff might require like OBD scanners, like the scanners you plug into your car for you to be able to check codes or for you to be able to turn things on, turn things off. But it's not a crazy car. But at the same time, when you have a huge family, you have 13 kids at the time when he first purchased the Lexus, or 12 kids, then you had a child and you have a Lexus, and then you bring in an additional 3 kids, so now you're up to 15, and you're still pushing a Lexus, and then you have 3 more kids, and that pushes you up to you had 3, and then 3, which brought you up to 16, and then 2 more kids brought you up to 18. Either way, if you have more than 2 kids, 2 babies, because those back seats are kind of small, if you have more than 2 toddlers, a Lexus is not an appropriate car. It's really not an appropriate car with 2 small children, to be honest with you. But I mean, it is what it is. Do what you got to do. Live your life the way you live your life. But for you to have 15 kids, 18 kids, and you still pushing a 2-seater car, you got women driving around in like blow them up cars. I call them blow them ups because if they run over a pedal, them shit's gonna blow up. Okay, the blony skin tires, and them things just wrecks in effect like all the way around. You got windows being held up by tape because you don't know how to change a damn car door motor, window motor, which is an easy ass job. Like, come on, man, what are we doing? What are we doing? So yeah, I mean, I think it just gets a lot worse. His decisions get a lot worse as he goes on. But yeah, thank you so much, Tanya. Then we have Ayana Nairi, $1.99 super chat. Robin forced the family into her version of polygamy. I think that that's also true. I think that Robin influenced the family to separate themselves so that she could experience the type of polygamy that she grew up in, which was basically mistress level polygamy. Like, it's not so much you have another wife, it's just you have wives and a mistress, where you spend your time with your wife, but you spend the good times, the fun times, and the honeymoon experience with your mistress. And I think that Robin grew up watching that, and that's what she tried to implement in the Brown family. Now, here's the secret to the sauce. And I'm not dismissing what Ayana is saying at all, but I think to add to that or complement it, we also have to give, at least from my perspective, I've always been heavier on Cody for this reason. Robin couldn't do anything in that family that Cody didn't allow to happen. Everything that happened in that family that Robin did, Cody allowed it to happen. She didn't have the power to walk in there and say, you know what? I'm going to come down to where you guys live, and I want you guys to pay for me to live around the corner. Robin couldn't do that. Cody did that. When they moved, decided they were going to run away from the police, bull crap, that don't happen. You don't run from the cops like that. That's not a thing. Okay, I'll say that to the day I die. If the police want you and the DA has sworn out, decided that they're going to press charges on you, they don't care where you move. You could move to the moon. If your ass ever set foot back in Utah, they're going to get you. If they pull you over somewhere and you have an open warrant, well, Utah might say, especially if you're in Vegas, Miami, New York, Chicago, you somewhere fun, Texas, anywhere in Texas, Austin, Dallas, you in Texas, oh, we coming to get you. We're coming to get your ass. Have them ready, stuffed, plucked, and ready to go. We coming to get you. So when they decided they were going to move from Utah and they were going to move to Vegas to be close to Robin's family, if she made that suggestion, the only reason why they did that wasn't because Robin insisted on it. It's because Cody said, this is what we're doing. When they moved from Las Vegas to Arizona, it's not because Robin said, I want to go to Arizona because that's my son going. She probably did say that to Cody, but Cody said, y'all pack your stuff up. We moving to Arizona. Where we go one, we go all. So I respect the fact that people hold Robin accountable because I think she is accountable. I think that she influenced a lot of the things that happened in the Brown family, for sure. But I think that ultimately the responsibility lays with Cody because he's the one that she might have had all the plans, but he's the one that made those plans come to fruition, if you dig what I'm saying. But thank you so much. That's a good point, though. I love it. YouTube is my time machine. Salute. $5 super chat. It makes you wonder if they had gotten that $2 million from venture capital, what would have happened? They would be in jail. Okay. I didn't say that. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. I think they would have been in jail. Because when you have people investing money in you, like Robin was sitting there talking about that money. We get this investment, and I'm going to basically quit the business so that I can stay home and have a family. I didn't give you $2 million to build your family. You are going to jail. Like, and you can get away with, you can for sure get away with ripping off the sister wives of Janelle, Christine, Mary, the OG3. You can get away with that because a lot of what they did and didn't do was relying on the fact that they grew up in those communities and they were reinforced not to do certain things, not to have certain responses. But if you dealing with like an investor, a capital investor, and you start doing what the French call misappropriation of funds, your ass going to jail. You're going to jail for sure. They are swearing out, they're swearing out complaints. They're showing up to all the court dates. And they're not showing up with the, come on, girl, maybe we go over and talk over there and stuff so we can try and work things out. Let's think about the kids. They're not having that conversation. No, they showing up every day. Every time they showing up with bells on. Here I am. I'm snitching. It was him. Yep, he stayed with his mama. Yeah, you going to jail. So yeah, I think it would have been a bad time. But it's also ironic too. Like I said with my sister wives closet, even now Cody's like, yeah, I didn't really give it support until like YouTube is my time machine said, the capitalists said, we might give you $2 million. All of a sudden, Cody in there pitching a bitch talking about, I need to be in control of the money. Me and Robin, we can't have Janelle as a CFO because Janelle wanted to be CFO, Chief Financial Officer. He was like, no, she controlled the money, Robin. She controlled the money. She decide where the money gets spent. Can't have that, right? So again, this all goes back to Cody. Cody and Robin are in cahoots together, but again, the ability to victimize the OG3 is solely in play because of Cody. So yeah, if I think, in my opinion, if they'd have got that $2 million, if that was real. Like, because I'm kind of suspecting that the capital group that was offering the money didn't have that kind of money to offer. But if they would have received $2 million, people would be in jail right now. I think people would be in jail. But thank you so much, YouTube, my time machine. Daisy Reyes, $1.99 super chat. He was about to marry Mary's ex's in-law on her birthday. Yeah, that's talking about Mary. Janelle is Mary's former sister-in-law. She was married to Mary's brother. And they were talking about Janelle and Cody were going to get married on Mary's birthday. And again, I think that was more Cody than Janelle. Like, I don't think Janelle really had I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think Janelle really had that much vitriol in her. Like, because I don't see it. I don't see that fire now. I don't see the consistency of that type of fire now. Like, when you get married on somebody's birthday, you marry somebody's husband on their birthday. Oh, baby. That's like you having an affair with somebody and calling they significant other on the phone and tell them to bring some whipped cream up to the bedroom. Hey, me and your peoples, me and your lady up here, we having a good time. You need to bring some whipped cream up because we gonna get freaky deaky. Like that, you are next level. Okay, that's next level cruelty. And that actually is more in line for me with how Cody treated Mary. Even with regard to when Robin came into the family, we found out about the ring incident. Like, he melted down Mary's ring. Like, instead of just giving it back to her or putting it in a drawer or whatever, like he taking it off and just, sitting it down somewhere. He took it to a jeweler and paid money to have it melted down. Like, that's just ridiculous. So that's more along the lines for me with more Kody than Janelle. 1, 2, but it also goes back to what I was saying with him further dividing his family. And again, imagine what they could have accomplished. Like, I'm not the big polygamy guy, but theoretically, imagine what you could have accomplished if all of you were on the same page working together. Like, you see what they're doing individually now. And maybe that's part of the secret to the sauce too. I'm not excusing that. Maybe part of the secret to the sauce now is that they're all individually seeking their own paths, and that's what makes them happy and successful. But if they could have aligned themselves and worked together, they could have took the world over. I mean, there's that possibility too. But thank you so much, Daisy Reyes. Let me give all of you guys, all of you, a little something to celebrate those super chats. I appreciate you. Thank you guys so much for your support, as well as your fantastic points and perspectives. All right. I gotta make that a little long because I'll be ready to get in the zone, boy. Is oh wow. Somebody wrote some craziness. What's this? Bleed the beast, Cody. Would be responsible in process of public assistance, but cute little car. Wow. How you gonna be driving an Lexus and you on Section 8 player? Oh man. Yeah. That's what I'm saying, Mandy. Thank you, Mandy. Love how Cody had to adopt Robin's kids and did not take legal claim of Christine's kids. Yeah, that would have been dummy do conversation for me. Like, whoa, what are we doing? We gotta adopt these kids, take care of these kids. Okay, Cody, you're going to adopt these kids and take care of these kids because you're afraid that something's going to happen to the kids if something were to happen to Robin. What if something happened to Christine? What if something happened? Like, if something happened to Christine, legally, you have no rights to her kids. Like, let's play it all the way out. If her parents, like something happened to Christine, she fell ill. Her parents stepped in and said, those are Christine's kids. She don't have a father listed on the birth certificate. The dummy do is that there is a real possibility that Cody could show up to the or like if something were to happen to one of the kids, Cody could and Christine, like Christine's driving in a car, something happens to Christine and the kids in the car, Cody show up to the hospital and you have to make medical choices. You're not listed as the father. That could create a problem. I'm their father. Are you on the birth certificate? No, I am not. Then we have to get the next of kin to approve whatever medical thing we're doing. Like that, there's a lot of like really good reasons as to why you want to be on your kids' stuff. I guess, just aside from the fact you want to be on your kids' stuff. I saw where somebody has said that I have to find it. Oh, but I'm gonna and because it's a wacky Sunday, I got kicked off. There we go. They closed down my Jones. I can't put the thing in. Oh wow. Okay. Oh wow. Wowzy wow. We're gonna close this the poll out. Did Cody change and become selfish after meeting Robin, or was he always this way? Cody changed over time, 18%. This is who Cody always was, 82%. We're going to end the poll there. Thank you guys so much for participating in that. I was curious where you guys were with it. I am going to put in the... Oh, crap. Hold on. This thing is acting wacky. I'm going to put in the link. So if you guys want to come on to the link, we can rock some comments for about a half hour or so. I'm gonna pop that up top. Sorry, I ran so late because you know I like talking. I get the jibber jabbers. I get the jibber jabbers. So we're gonna put that in, and then we're going to. Okay. We have a message from Lizzie B. Okay. Warning, remember when you call in, please be kind to our hosts, mods, and chat. Enjoy the discussion and have fun. Thank you so much, Lizzie B. And thanks so much for being here on short notice, Lizzie B. You rock. You rock hard. Because this was literally a pop-up because my system it went down, and like I'm actually so thankful that so many of you guys came in, got 547 in the chat. I appreciate you guys coming in and hanging out with me, especially on such short notice. Because I tried to put it up as a notice and it would not let me do it. It's so crazy. But I did notice that we had another YouTuber in the house, and if she was here, I was gonna see if she wanted to jump up. Definitely want to do a collaboration with her, but yeah, because I'm just as a pre thing before I get into the live calls, I want to do a couple shows where we have people from different YouTube channels come on, and we can have a whole discussion and all that. Because there's a lot of, like, even smaller channels, there's a lot of interesting channels out there that don't get a whole lot of attention. Like, technically, I'm still a small channel too. So, but if I can help somebody, then it is what it is. I don't mind helping. And I think that if you have something worthwhile saying and hearing, then I'm definitely willing to have that conversation or hear what you have to say, so I can get a different perspective. So, I think that that's really cool. But yeah. Oh, we have one super chat, and then we're gonna jump right into the live calls. Let's see. Christy Jade, $5 super chat. Did y'all see Mary said on her recent live that Cody bought a painting Mary wanted for Robin, then told Mary, you can go see it at Robin's house? Oh my God. I did not hear that. Ooh-wee. Oh, these ladies, boy, they had the patience of Job. Like whoa. Ooh-wee. Let me read that one more time because I think my eyes just went wonky. Christy Jade, $5 super chat. Did y'all see Mary said on her recent live that Cody bought a painting Mary wanted for Robin, then told Mary, you can go see it at Robin's house? My man. Woo! Yeah. I'm not look on this channel. We do not condone violence, and I'm never going to sit here and say that violence is the answer or is an appropriate solution or something that you should engage in. No vandalism, no busting up their windows, none of that is appropriate. I don't think that none of that would be appropriate. But you be testing a brother patience. All I'm saying is the Lord is still working on me, y'all. I'm a work in progress. Okay. I try to come off like I'm together, but there's certain things, there's certain levels of disrespect I just can't do. I could not do that. Mary, you are a G. You're a triple OG because you're better than me. You're better than me. Because that I ought to cuss his ass out every time I saw him. Somebody says some shit like that to me. Pardon my French. If somebody says something like that to me, every time I see you, it's on and popping. Oh, you would have a peace. There would be no peace. When you better see me before I see you. Oh, baby. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. You got me. Oh, they got me kind of jacked up a little bit. You taking me out of my Sunday morning. Thank you, Christy. What the shit? Like, oh, what? You can go see it at Robin's house. And you know when he said it, he had that look like, oh, baby. Oh man, you got me fired up now. Shit. I can feel that. Like, you know what I mean? You ever had that thing where somebody say something and it just shoot up the back of your neck and your hairs, like you can feel your hairs poking through the back of your shirt? Like, are you crazy? Like you, ooh. Uh, okay. For that. Oh man. Oh, you gotta be tripping. You gotta be tripping now. Mary, God bless you. God bless you. It couldn't be me, Jake. We're gonna take some of this heat off of me, and we're gonna shine a little light on Betty. Thank you so much, Christy. Thanks for sharing that. I'm gonna look for it now. Oh shit. Cody is just like, he's like a comic book villain. At this point, what are you doing? It's like you just saying stuff to be like, what's the most evil, ridiculous thing I can say to another human being? Got it. And you just say it. Oh, baby. Give me some likes up. Give my likes up. Cause maybe that'll make me happy. Cause this shit, boy. Okay. All right. Focus, James. Focus. Woosa. Woosa. All right, Betty, you coming up first. Betty, how you
Hey,
doing?
girl, look, first that picture thing got me. Honey, we gonna either be getting that picture off that wall or we showing up with a fucking Lord, it's Sunday. Don't send me to hell. We showing up with a blowtorch.
Yeah.
One way or another, I'm getting that picture.
Oh, it's coming off the wall for sure.
It ain't gonna be there either. I'm gonna have that picture, or you gonna have a nice little blowtorch right there.
That is
You
crazy.
get them at Walmart, $10.99, girl.
Right. Now, we're
Sorry,
not
some
saying
people get
anything
offended when
about
I call you
violence.
girl.
We're
When I
not
say that,
supporting
I don't
violence.
mean any offense because some people get offended. It's just the way I talk. I apologize.
Yeah, I talk reckless too. I got you.
Well, first, I'm so thrilled you're safe. Thank God.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Like, my prayers are with everyone, but I'm so happy you're safe.
Yeah, I do the best I can.
Yeah, I know that, but it's just a tragic situation. But I'm just thankful you're safe.
Oh, thank
But on the, I have an odd question. Is there a statute of limitation on food stamp fraud, or do you know?
you. As far as I know, there is, but it depends on when. There's a
But
lot.
the reason I ask is because you got me started on this. It's all your fault. You got my brain going. It's all you. Like he adopted Robin's children with the last name, did not accept Christine's children with the last name. But I know that you have to list when you go apply for food stamps, only because my sister got them and I took her and they had to list the father's name that was on the birth certificate. And because whatever benefits they did get, that had to be, because of child support. And since he wasn't on there, but they all lived together, I mean, it was shown on TV. I'm just wondering if, especially now where they're cracking down on the fraud of food stamps, if it's possible that even now, years later, they could come back on them and say, you know what? I mean, they collected them. Which, I mean, if somebody needs them, God bless them. God knows after Hurricane Katrina, I collected for 6 months because my job's husband literally blew away. And I had 4 kids in a 2-bedroom apartment. Never do that again. Holy shit. But, I mean, I'm not looking down on anybody who collects them. I don't mean that or despairing in any way.
Right.
But I just wonder, I mean, because each one, I don't know if Mary ever collected food stamps, but we do know, like all the other wives collected at some point.
Right. Well, because from my understanding, like the food stamp issue would be a state's issue. So whatever statute limitation, which would vary by states, the state or
Right.
jurisdiction. So you would have that. It would depend on what happens in Utah. The question would be, how do they file? Like when they were putting in the application, like you mentioned that they all live together. Did you put down that you were living in a single domicile with, you know, 3 other adult women or 4 other adult people, 2 adult women and an adult man, as well as like all their income combined, like and with the number of kids they had, there's a possibility they still might have qualified. So
But
it's
if each
crazy.
one got it, would they, like, I wonder if it would be possible if they would did like apartment A, apartment B, apartment C
Right.
on
Right.
that application.
Well, because you figure they're rocking with at the time they had what, 12 kids.
Yeah.
So I mean it's a lot of children that they're dealing with at that time. Like so they could have, there's a possibility, especially with their limited income that they had coming in, that there's a possibility they might have like legitly qualified for those programs. The problem I think they would have or could have encountered is that if Cody is in fact their father, then you get into reporting requirements. If he's their dad and he's claiming to be their dad, and you're telling the welfare office that you don't know who the father is as part of your
Right.
application, that could be deemed as fraud. You know what I mean? Because you can't lie on any parts of the application. And the crazy part is that depending on when, like if this is, it becomes more detrimental for people now, not necessarily the Brown family, but if you're involved with this, the state can come after you for those funds. Like if they disperse money to you and they find out that you lied on those applications, they can, not only do you get kicked off of those programs and they could bar you from applying for them again, even if you need them, but they could turn around and sue you for the money that they did give you.
Yeah.
So that creates
Well,
a
yeah,
whole
that, and then you think about the IRS. I mean, like, even back in the day, I mean, like 6 kids,
Mhm.
you're getting all that earned income.
Right.
I mean, you think about, like, we talk about the show giving them a lot of money. Can you imagine what it was back in the day? You got 6 dependents, you're a single mother, head of household. Jesus, the amount of money she probably got back just in income. And I say that, God, I'm not being hateful. Please
Mhm.
don't come after me for that. I'm not. But I mean, I watched my sister who did, Lord, I'm not being hateful to her. Don't send me to hell. But who never worked a freaking day, get back $8,000. I'm like, what the hell? I work 2 jobs. I have 4 kids and I have to pay in $1,000. How the hell is that fair?
Right. Right.
Like, you know, but I mean, I'm just saying, if Christine didn't work, claimed 6 children with 0 income or maybe limited income,
Yeah.
like
Limited.
work
Yeah.
just enough to file, which I think you got to make $10,000 to file,
Right.
maybe a little less.
Well, 10, 15, I think is where your cutoff is. I think it's 15.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, I think
but
it's about
then
15.
again, I mean, like, you know, even back in the day, that would be making like $7.25 an hour, work
Right.
30
Right.
hours for a year. You would qualify to be able to file taxes, but I mean, like, then you get back damn near 10,000, 12,000. I mean, like,
Mhm.
you know, I mean, I'll be the first one to tell you, I got a big mouth when somebody tells, girl, I got back $12,000 last year. I'm like, what the fuck? You didn't even work. How do you
Yeah.
get back 12,000? I'm working 2 jobs and I can't even get 500. I'm having to pay in 1,000.
Right. Right.
What the hell?
Yeah. You
Like,
gotta have I mean, it's the offsets, like your write-offs. It's the amount of
I
money that you
wish.
make. You gotta be
Maybe I
careful
could
with
pretend to be
records.
retarded.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, my sister will get back this year because now she's disabled, but I'm still like, but you didn't work.
Right.
I don't get
Right.
it. Like,
Yeah. It's
I'm
well.
paying out premiums out the ass from my insurance,
Right.
and she
Yeah.
gets free insurance. I'm like, okay, but I worked on my whole life. And don't get me wrong, there are people who cannot physically work. I am absolutely not. And people who need help. I don't mean that. There are single mothers who desperately depend on that income tax, but they
Right.
work their ass off for that money. So
Right.
please don't. I don't want your audience to think I'm coming after that. That is absolutely not what I'm saying.
Right.
But
Right.
with Christine and them giving Cody access to all the money, if they each got back, Janelle, Christine, all of them got back that much money, and you're looking at $30,000. That's, for some single moms, that's what they make in 1 year. And if each mother contributed their income tax
Right.
that went into that one account, That's what one person makes in a year that's struggling. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to get off.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
But
I appreciate it.
Lord knows, I hope you do more lives because you, girl, you know I'm gonna call in. But I hope you do more than just reality. I would love, love, love to see you collaborate with some other topics that I'm sure not just myself, but other people would join in a heartbeat.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah,
there's
I think that's the
things that
direction I'm
affect,
gonna take. I think moving
you know,
forward, because I do
like,
want
I
to
mean,
expand
one
out
I would,
past some of the
I
stuff.
will truly tell you, I'm praying you'll do is one that affects like real crime
Mhm.
and how people can change, their opinions change. Like, you know, like ours, I'm not going to go into details, but like ours specifically was be 35 years that we're waiting on justice. But how a person's feelings from first impact to last impact, how your life can change and alter in views
Right.
and not that you can become more accepting, but just maybe in those 35 years, the different things you see and feel and touch and people you see and feel and touch, how it can alter your perspective. I
Right.
would love to get you to
Right.
do something like that.
Sounds like a plan. Slap.
But girl,
Sounds like a plan.
I'm being serious. Like, I mean, you know, there are
No.
so many of us out there that would love that. That's on a much more deeper than a reality. That
Mm,
is our reality.
right.
That we love you. You know that clearly. But if somebody don't hit that X button, go in and like, and then you can go right back into comments and you can give you all them likes.
Right. I appreciate it. But
All right, girl, let me shut up because you know I tend to get long-winded, but I do love you and I love your community.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you calling in. I look forward to
You
seeing
know
you
I'll be,
tonight because I'll be back
girl,
tonight.
you know I'm gonna.
All
All
right.
right, I love you,
Have a
baby.
good one.
Night, night, baby. I
Night.
mean, good afternoon.
Yeah, good
Jesus
afternoon.
Christ.
You hooked on nighttime. I got you.
Look, and I ain't even had the cooking sherry yet.
All
All right, bye, baby.
right, have a good one. Awesome. Yeah, I will be doing some I do like the idea of doing some uh crime and justice stuff just because I think that it affects more than just the crime itself, but we could talk about like the how it impacts not only the victims but the victims' families as well as the perpetrator and the perpetrators' families because I think a lot of that goes ignored, especially when you deal with younger folks who may be seeing themselves as kind of that YOLO mentality that you only live once, so it's my life. I'm gonna live my life the way I want to, but not realizing the impact that their actions may have on their parents. Like, one of the truest things that I've ever heard somebody say was that when somebody goes to jail, a lot of times they go to jail, they lose contact with their friends and maybe people that they were hanging out with. But your parents, a lot of times does that time with you. Like your mom is going to be doing like when you're up at night and you're worried about what's going to happen to you at night. Your parents are at home a lot of times sitting in their bed thinking about what's happening to you as well. So it's just something that I wanted to talk about. But thank you so much, Betty. We'll go to local art witch. She was one of the first people in the house. What's going on? How you doing?
Hello, how are you?
Doing very well. Doing very well.
Good.
Welcome to the
I'm
show.
just cleaning, so don't mind the mask. It's to help with the dust. I have so many things, but I'll try to be quick.
Okay.
First, I wanted to share sort of a joke. Betty, what are you doing? Comparing your apples to other people's oranges. um, in more seriousness, I'm in Canada.
Okay.
Social assistance works differently here, or I assume anyway. And part of it is you can have a job, but you can only make so much before they start taking away like dollar for dollar. And then it makes it extremely hard once you're on social assistance to get out because it covers more Medicare, it covers dental, I grew up on it and I grew up in foster care. My medical plan was way better than anybody had, like with parents who had insurance and whatnot.
Mm.
So it was kind of sad a little bit when I aged out because then I didn't have the dental coverage anymore. The next thing I wanted to say, I wrote these down. Cody, I believe he changed. And this is why. So I do believe he had the seeds deep down in his soul, or maybe not so deep, right?
Right.
And he gets this woman who he thinks is so beautiful. Plus, he's getting this show. He married a very important bloodline. So he didn't like Christine, but he did like her bloodline.
Lineage. Right.
And in one of the clips, I noticed certain talking points that Cody had, and I was like, that sounds like the red pill stuff.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, he's
And
very influenced by the man.
I checked him up on X, and it does say something like recently went red pill. I was like, whoa, you said it out loud. You put it down.
Right.
I wonder if he was seeing certain things, and then he has Robin, his best customer, just like feeding, and he's getting more and more like, because they, especially when the show was like newer, they were going around and they were on all these talk shows, they were on all the different news and stuff. I think it was feeding more into that, what's that saying? You have two wolves inside of you. And like one's basically a good wolf, one's more of a nasty one, and you become the wolf that you feed.
Right.
And he also had all these women covering him in the cloak of charity. That's what it was called.
Right.
And it allowed him, plus the guy that was helping to produce the show, they were all covering it up for him. So I think he had those seeds, but he also started believing in his own hype. And now that's why he comes off as like, I don't like this word, but like demented. Like,
Right.
I don't know about you, but I'm like, is this person even real? Like, it's hard to believe he's even a real human being.
Right.
The other thing I wanted to mention was I picked up the Book of Mormon and I started to read it. And I only just started it, and already I have found some really intriguing pieces. Like, I'm seeing how some of us will say certain things about like how people in Utah speak, and I'm noticing the lilt right in their text. He's going over this Nephi guy, and he's saying a lot without saying anything. It's quite repetitive.
Right.
This is my father, and we lived in Jerusalem, and then repetitive.
Mm.
But it's written like it was belonging to the King James Bible. So like
Right.
that older English. And so maybe that's where the Mormon people get that I'm saying a lot. There's a lot of words, but I'm not really saying anything. Let's see. Oh, back to Cody changing. That comedian that came from Cody's family, Ben.
Yeah, Ben the Fisher King.
Yes. Do you remember him saying something along the lines of like Cody was the most progressive of his relatives at the time? Yes. And in the early episodes, at least, he even used the word himself as metrosexual. There's a certain amount of comfort you have to have in your own masculinity, I think, to be able to say that. I don't think he could say it now. I think he's become very insecure.
Right.
Um,
Well, let me address some of your points. Like, I think that the with regard to like say the metrosexual portion of it, I think that early on Cody recognized that he was on a show that would appeal more towards ladies in the audience. That's who the fan base was primarily going to be. And I think that he also recognized that because of his situation with polygamy and how polygamy was perceived as being male dominant and being a patriarchal system, he had to offset that by saying that, hey guys, I'm a cool dude who has 4 strong independent women who I can't tell anything to these women. In fact, one of his quotes is that in my house, I can't tell these women what to do. I barely get to tell the kids what to do. Like, he's acting like he's lost in the sauce. Whereas I think that was part of
Yeah.
the pomp and circumstance that went into the show. With regard to him being part of the manosphere, I think that the manosphere provided him, because of his upbringing and because of the trappings of the faith in which he was a part of,
Mhm.
it gave him confirmation bias on a lot of the beliefs that he already had. So when you join the manosphere, they start talking about, oh, women should be subservient to men. They should be not, well, they don't say subservient. They say that
Mm.
women should submit. That's a big
Yes.
thing that they say. Women need to submit to their men. And if you look at the OG3 plus Robin, of all the wives and all the sister wives, Robin is the ideal
Mm.
of that manosphere archetype woman, because she comes in, she says that she submits to Cody, she recognizes that he's the leader, that he's the one who's going to be making all the decisions. She tries to look pretty and create a environment where he's essentially the boss, and everything that happens in her house is to please him. Whereas the other wives, because they came up with Cody when he was poor and
Yeah.
he was struggling, they struggled together. It's a lot harder for you to be in that situation and look at
Mhm.
somebody as the end all be all savior of your situation
Mm.
when we're in there struggling in the pit together.
Yeah.
So,
It makes them more like peers as opposed to one being the
right.
head. I totally see that. It's not an argument, but when Robin first came, she was kind of argumentative. I would say Christine in the early seasons was the pinnacle of like what a woman, quiet, bearing her children, doing the homeschool, like doing all that mom stuff. Like there's a psalm about a woman who works hard and does all the things, and Christine in those early seasons kind of was that. I don't know how she had the energy. Plus she was working, which we didn't even know at the time.
Right.
Um
Well, but if you also watch, like, you go back and watch some of them early seasons with a
yeah.
new eye, Christine was the only one of the wives who legitimately gave Cody any pushback with regard to
Mm,
Robin coming into the family. She was
she
downright
did.
argumentative. She told him that flat out that this is going to destroy our family.
Yeah,
Us coming to the
she
family.
was really brave, really, especially when you consider the way she was raised and the beliefs that because she's related to Rulon, is she
Right.
not?
Yes.
Yes. Last thing I'll leave you with, I agree with, I would be so interested in you. I was thinking this too, doing true crime stuff, the after effects. I'm really into true crime because I try to understand like the psychology of why these things happen, what leads up to it, what can we learn from it. Like I followed the Sarah Boone trial,
Mm,
like you wouldn't even believe, because
right.
I was like, where does this woman come from? Like, how delusional are you? Um, and Healing After, Colby, Lori Vallow's son,
Mm,
as a survivor, he recently did a live saying, I think I'm ready. I am ready to move on. I don't want to keep, chewing the cud basically on
right.
this crime. And he looked like he felt guilty that he lost a couple years of his life to this tragedy. And I'm thinking, you are underestimating how much trauma you really went through. You lost
Mm,
both of your siblings, and your mother's alive, but you lost her too.
right.
And sometimes having that person alive, not that it's worse, but they're not truly gone.
Mm,
They're You have to still deal with that. My father was abusive. I'm trying to be careful. I don't want to get you in trouble. And he would prey on teenage girls.
mm,
And growing up, I didn't know that, but like there were things happening that I was like, this makes me really uncomfortable, but that can't be true because that's my dad, whatever, whatever. I grow up and then he's dying. And I was going to, like, I went 15, 16 years without talking to this man, but
right.
I wanted to make sure that he could leave peacefully. And I found out that he was actually preying on my friends at the time. And I had to go through, oh my God, I supplied him with victims.
Right.
I am culpable. I'm not realistically, but I had to go through
You had
that.
to
And
work your
then,
way through it. Right.
yes, and then when somebody that close to you is related to you, you can't help but feel that somehow that PDF file DNA is in your blood too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it might be an irrational thought, but at least for me, that was kind of in the back of my head. Like, it made me question who I was. I know that sounds crazy. That probably sounds really
No,
crazy,
not at
but
all. Not at all.
I
Because I
really
think that,
felt for Colby. So I would love to hear your thoughts, because it seems like you have a background in mental health. Like, if I didn't know any better, you have a psychology degree. Like, some of the things I hear you saying.
right.
So
Yeah, I'm not that guy, but I'll just say what I think. I think that like there, I can see a circumstance in a situation where one, to address your point as far as you feeling a certain way about yourself, as though you might also
mm,
have that thing, that
yeah,
bug, that chromosome, which causes
mm,
you to do these, almost like a predilection, like
yes,
that it exists in you. I think that it's facing that the reality of that darker side is
mm,
the challenge, because all of us have that dark side. Maybe it's not this thing, it could be
mm,
something else, but all
yes,
of us have something that we're dealing with that causes us to have to reflect on ourselves. It
yeah,
becomes a lot more poignant when you have certain people in your life, because when you look at these relationships, like your relationship with your dad, the ironic part about this, and this is where I think it gets into a bigger conversation when we start talking about crime and punishment and like a true
mm,
crime, is that when you look at the families of the perpetrators, they know that person beyond their offense.
yeah,
So for you, your relationship with your dad wasn't just confined to the things that he was doing, but it was the totality of who he was in your life.
yeah,
You understand what I mean? How could this man, like, because you have situations where people have no idea that they're related to people who are doing terrible, terrible things.
mm,
And they say to themselves, how is it that I'm sitting at a birthday party celebrating, maybe my 10th year of life with this person who is essentially a monster?
mm-hmm,
As far as other people are concerned, he's a monster, but I don't see that side of him, and
yes,
I don't see that person. So that creates a conflict in how you see yourself, and it does start to. And this is where, like, I think that some help might be necessary, because there's part of the conflict is you're challenged because your understanding of who this person is contrary to somebody else's understanding, and it
yeah,
starts to make you ask questions as to whether you have a firm grasp of understanding who they are,
yeah,
and you start to question yourself.
mm,
You know what I mean? Your own
yes,
judgment. Like, am I making good choices? Maybe I
yeah,
should have seen it. Maybe this is
yeah.
stuff I should have known.
That's
You know.
where a lot of my guilt came from. Because as
Mhm,
I said, I was seeing and experiencing things, but it wasn't, I was essayed when I was younger. And when he would do certain things, he would even ask me, oh, is this S abuse? And I'd be like, no, because I was comparing it to stuff I had experienced before. And so those
mhm,
times of discomfort, I would be like, well, he is anxious about my health because his mom had passed of cancer and just certain things. But I kept telling myself I'm overreacting. So
mhm.
also had to deal with that guilt that I kept reintroducing my friends, because we call it jigging here, but
Okay.
skipping class. We would go and we would hang out at my dad's, and like, he would supply weed, and
Mhm.
I part of me wants to say I should have known better. That's not normal for an adult to do, but to be graceful to myself, I legitimately didn't know any better. I was
Right.
14. My brain wasn't even done. And, like, sometimes it's until after you've birthed your own children that you start rehaving, you experience your old trauma in a new way.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
sure you've probably experienced that too, because you can see yourself in a more gentle way through your children. You're like, wow, that's what I looked at like when I was 3 or 5 or whatever.
Right.
I was just a little person. How could this have happened?
Mhm.
Um, because as we age, I think we put if you're 15, comparing what you remember at 3 or 4, you think of it in your 15-year-old brain, but you forget what it was really like to be 3, but you see it through your
Right.
children. And so anyway, I was like, oh, Colby, I really felt for him. Yeah, I would love to hear just kind of your thoughts on the Vallow case and the Frankie case,
Okay.
especially where Frankie and Hildebrandt only got 4 years, and then they're up
Right.
for. I have feelings, but
Yeah, I
anyway,
feel you. I feel you.
yes. So thank you so much for your time. I've been a long time watcher. I really enjoy your content, and
Oh, thank you.
you and your community is just fantastic.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
If you're interested, hit me up on my email, and
Mhm.
maybe we could set something up where we bring you on and we could have that conversation on a separate live, so that way we
Yeah.
can actually talk about it.
Yeah,
But
I would
just hit
love
me up
to.
on MyTakeOnRealityQuestions@gmail.com, and then we can maybe hook something up. So MyTakeOnRealityQuestions@gmail.com. And I'll just say this before you go.
Uh-huh.
With regard to your feelings of guilt with your friends or
Mm.
whatever, here's the thing. As a child, you understand as a child. There's a saying like, when I was a
Mhm.
child, I thought as a
Thought
child
like a
because I
child.
understood as a child. But when
Mhm.
I became an adult, I put away childish things. The whole point is that kids are going to feel how kids feel.
Yes.
And it's not your responsibility as a child to police adults. That was the job of your father to take
Mhm.
that role to tell you and to instruct you what is right and wrong. So
Yeah.
it's not your place as his daughter, as his child, to say, hey, Pop, you shouldn't be supplying my friends with this substance or this activity or that activity. That's
Mhm.
on him. This is the same thing when you hear like teachers saying that, oh, well, it's okay that I was dating this 15-year-old and I was with my 15-year-old student because they kept coming on to me and they were attractive. And you should know what these kids are doing and all the wild stuff they're a part of. A child can be attracted to an adult. Your
Yeah.
friends could have all wanted your dad because he was a
Yeah.
sexy, cool, fun guy. But at the end of
Mhm.
the day, it is your father's
Yeah.
responsibility as the adult in that situation to
Mhm.
look at those children and say that a child needs to stay in a child's place.
Yeah.
I understand that you may be attracted to me or you may think that you have feelings towards me, but I guarantee you it's not what you think it is. Like we
No.
don't have a place together
No.
because
I
it's not
can't.
his place.
No, and I can't even imagine. I have children myself now. My oldest is
Mm,
11, but even a 15, 16-year-old, if I started suspecting that maybe they had a little crush on me, I would be trying to get myself as far away from that situation as I could.
right.
Like, I would be so uncomfortable. I'm 39. Even the idea of dating a 30-year-old, 29, that's too young. There's life experience that matters,
Right.
right? So I don't really understand what. Yeah,
Where
I'm
the
not going
attraction
to.
is at. No, I
Yes.
got you. I got you. And it's just like, what do we do after? Like,
Yes.
like
Yes.
no matter how attractive you are, what are we gonna do after? When that's all over, what
Right.
happens in the
Yeah.
next 10 minutes? You know what I mean? Okay, it's just uncomfortable silence is not a sexy thing to me. Like that's not something I'm
Mm-mm.
striving for in my life. So I feel you on that. But I
Yeah.
appreciate you calling in. And
Yes,
it was
thank
a
you
great
for having me.
conversation. Hit me up
Yeah.
on the email and we'll see what we can do.
It's
All right.
questions with an S, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I got it. I wrote it down. Thank you
All
for
right.
your time
Awesome.
again.
Thank you. Have a good Sunday.
Yes, you do. Thank you. Thank
Thank you
you,
so much.
everybody in chat too.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Fantastic. Fantastic. I appreciate everybody. Um, let me just make sure I have everything. Oh, got a super chat from Tanya Smith, $5 super chat. Cody did tell us he'd be the devil they think I am. I guess we were warned. Yeah, that's true. But I didn't expect him to be cartoonishly devilish. Like, like it's just weird. I agree with some of the things the previous callers were saying, like Cody at this point is almost like a cartoon. Like he's throwing out the whole. I'm waiting for him to monologue. After I take Coyote Pass, then I'm going to come down and swoop in and take all of Christine's rental properties. Like I'm expecting that level of like ridiculousness from Cody at this point. But thank you so much, Tanya. Then we have Crystal Manning with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Sending a little love to James and the realness of reality. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. That's awesome. I appreciate you guys' support. Let me give you a little something to show you your my appreciation. All right, coming to the stage next, ladies and gentlemen, we have Jada. Jada coming to the stage. Hold on 1 second. Thank you so much. And Jada, to the stage. Jada, how you doing?
Hey, y'all. I'm about to pull over. I'm in the car. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Good morning. It's still morning for me. I think Cody has always been this way. Because from the beginning, he's always been hurting these ladies intentionally, in my opinion. That's what I've seen. Christine, pregnant, you're bringing a lady in. That don't even sit right with me.
Yeah. Some things is just like total disregard for people's feelings. Like,
yeah,
you know
and
what I
that's
mean?
what he does. That's what he does consistently. He's very consistent at that.
That's insane.
Yeah, I've been just going all over watching everybody's lives, and I really like the new channel, Religion and Reality. I don't know if you watched her.
Yes.
Yeah, her videos are really short, but she was this is going off topic of Cody, but she was putting those videos in of Robin. She has been wicked from the beginning. Like she is evil stepmother. Like little stuff that she does is, man, these people are crazy. She's been evil to them from the beginning.
Yeah, because actually, it's funny you say that because Religion and Reality was one of the creators I wanted to bring onto the channel just so we can have a conversation. Because I think that a lot of their viewpoints are very spot on and very interesting and very poignant especially with regard because for those who are not familiar with that particular channel, they go back and they look at like the earlier seasons and they're making a case. It's kind of in a lot of ways, they do something that I talked about early on, is that Cody and Robin have been on this image rehabilitation tour for a little while now. And so what Reality of Religion is doing is they're basically saying, look, we can't lose sight of what they did. They can try to pretend, they can try to remake, they can try to retell, but we're going to hold them to task for the things that they did, and they laid a case out. So I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all because I'm all about that. If you can pull a receipt, pull the receipts, and they bring the receipts.
We love receipts over here. Yes, we
right,
do.
right.
She's pulling them. I going back and watching them, everybody pulls a little bit, but she started from the first first episode, and you see it. You see it, everything. They planned this whole thing. It's so sad that they did this to these ladies and these children.
Yeah,
Robin had no business coming into that family.
No, especially with how in the situation that they found themselves in, especially early on, where they were struggling financially. And aside from, just the logistics of it, like, have a pregnant wife, you on your pregnant wife's bed crying about a woman who you
can get out.
You leaving your family for the weekend so you can go spend time with this other woman. And then when you're not with her on the weekend, you gonna come back on Monday and cry how you wish you was back there. And you sit on your pregnant wife bed. Like those logistics aside, it's just like if you look at just the brass tacks of the money that was involved because they were struggling financially early on. And even when Robin came in, part of what took them so long in their courtship was the fact that Cody couldn't afford to marry her. So when she comes into the family and she moves around the corner, they're taking resources away from his existing family in order to take care of her.
Yeah.
And you wonder why the kids are so angry. You wonder why people are so bitter. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, he's gonna be, if Robin and her kids ain't taking care of him, he's gonna be by himself in a nursing home or wherever he about to be.
Yeah.
Because ain't nobody coming. They not coming.
Yeah. Money better not come up short, son.
Yeah, just from her, like them not even consulting Janelle and Christine, bringing her in, like, yeah. But anyways, yeah, I think Cody's always been like this. Yeah, the show and the money just allowed him to bring it out, turn it up.
Right. Yeah, just allowed him. I take that position too. I think that the money and the fame just allowed him to become the man that he actually always was. But he just couldn't afford to be.
Before he could do it, minor little things, but now let me just do whatever I want to do.
Yeah. Now I'm just rolling big time.
Yeah. Yep. Let me see what else. About your future shows, I don't know if you're just gonna maybe we can nominate certain people or something like that. You throw a couple people, other creators out there. Just a suggestion, like how you do polls.
I mean, like I said earlier, there are a couple people I want to do some collaborations with that I've actually already started reaching out to. Like I want to do one with IQ. I want to do one with Reality Cringe. I want to do a collab with Religion and Reality. Senior Perspective. I got to get Jenny back on. Notes to Self 444. I did one with them. I'll probably bring them back on because they were really interesting to talk to. But if you guys have anybody who, whether it's Sister Wives, even if it's 90 Day Fiance or Love After Lockup or some of the other reality shows or even the Law Justice stuff. If you guys have any suggestions on people that you would like to see me collaborate with, just reach out to me at MyTakeOnRealityQuestions at gmail.com. And we'll see if we can make it happen. Because I don't mind having conversations. I think that it's important for us to be able to have these kind of discourses, especially if we have similar or even differing opinions. Because sometimes you like somebody might say something. I've been on a few of these lives where somebody said something, and I'm like, "Oh shoot, they're 100% right." I had not considered that.
Day. Say something that you're noticing, like when somebody says it's like they damn sure is right.
Right, they damn sure did. Like, I remember Carmel Cuties had me last week because Cody came out with that. Oh, I paid for that land all to myself. And I thought he was talking about that little strip of land that him and Robin's name was on. But Carmel Cuties was like, no, she pulled my tab and she said, Jane, he talking about that big piece of land where Christine's name was on it. And I got to thinking about it, I was like, damn sure is. You 100% right. That's 100. That's all on stack. That's on fleek right there. That's right. So yeah, I'm all open to conversations. I think it's interesting. I think it's fun. I have a good time doing it anyway.
Yeah, and if I know we can't use that A word, but if he's all these other financially, mentally, verbally, because we done all seen it, I don't put physical past him to certain people. Maybe not Janelle because she had her boys, but yeah.
Yeah.
I don't put that past him. And his demeanor, everything. Yeah. I've been a victim, so I can tell.
Yeah, I think that he has, if he hasn't, I think it's in there. Like, I think it's baked in the cake.
Yeah.
And I will say this. Like, I don't know for sure. I don't have any reason to think that this is the case. Like, I don't want to slander nobody. But I'm just saying, between you, me, and everybody who listening, if it came out that that's what happened, I would not be surprised.
Exactly.
You understand what I mean? Like, I'm not saying he did it, but I'm just saying if somebody said he did, I won't be, oh my God, I can't see that. I'd be like, yeah, that tracks. You know,
Yeah.
that makes sense. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you for your time. Love
All right,
you.
thank you.
Love
Thank you for the suggestions
everybody.
too.
Love everybody.
Right? Well, have a wonderful Sunday. Thank you so much for calling in.
You as well. Thank you.
All right, bye. Awesomeness. Next up, we have Darlene in the house. What's going on, Darlene? How you doing? Oh,
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So kind of new to you last couple months. Love you. I'm one of IQ's crew.
Okay.
Long time, years with her. But so now I'm new to you, but loving it, enjoying it. Real quick, do you remember the clip? We played it over on our group a couple weeks ago when they're all sitting on couches. They got paperwork in their hands. This is a younger everybody. Early episodes. I don't even know the season. Well, it only makes sense to make Robin the CFO, and it broke Janelle's heart. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you remember anything?
Yes.
So how is it Janelle's fault nothing got paid? Oh, ding, 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 ding. Now we see who was stealing the money, both of them. Okay.
Right.
And, side note, I wouldn't want to turn the ladies in if they did get stamps. I want anything to punish Cody and Robin. It's not the ladies' fault. They've suffered enough. So just post on that one. Everybody else I agree with 100%. Cody's a joke. I've said it. He needs counseling, medicine, but I don't even think those things. He needs shock. He needs above shock. He needs something special. He needs Jesus, medicine, and who died and left him in charge? Who said he was even cute? I don't know. I'm lost.
Right.
It's almost dementia. I work in the medical field 26 years of my life with seniors, every lockdown unit possible. Is he on something? Like, I can't even call him a crackhead. That would be insulting the crackheads that still do car work and have backyard mechanics. I mean, come on. That would be insulting the crackheads that have lived for 20 years still doing what they're supposed to do.
Right.
I don't know what's wrong with him, except for Robin is the bad influence that happened to come in to an already crazy person. It amplified it. He had a sidekick now. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So she was behind the scenes controlling. I will not let her get away with not getting any blame. It might be 51 him and 49 her. She did monopolize the husband, just as Christine said. Everyone else said, no, we have to share him. We cannot be greedy. We must follow all family rules. We are democracy in this household. We will share. We will agree. Or we get voted out by, 3 against 1, whatever it was at the time. She never had to follow any rule. She never had to live polygamy again, like the one caller said. Yeah. So she did influence him to allow her to break the rules, whether he was, whipped, whether he was on some drugs, whether he is a sissy himself and not an alpha male, because he let her control him.
Right. Well, I think that he's so, I think that there's a strong influential pull because of the fact that he is so heavily vested in how, part of the, because a lot of it, I think, comes down to image and image control. And I think that when he sees himself with Robin, he sees himself as a step up. And so he's so desirous to be with her that he allows her to make choices for him. And she can push him and sway him to make choices. Because I agree, there is points where, what was it, the Easter thing? There was a whole time when Christine wanted to celebrate Easter, hiding eggs and all that stuff, and Cody was opposed to it. They talk about it in the book. He was opposed to it. We're not doing that because that's one of the
pagan.
Still, it is paganistic and all that, and we're not going to do it. And the second Robin comes into the family and says, well, if you guys don't celebrate Easter, I do. I'm going to take my kids and I'm going to go to my mom's house and we're celebrating Easter.
Bingo.
And that's when the Brown family started celebrating Easter. So she's always had that influence. But I think that the only distinction that I give between Robin's culpability in it versus Cody's culpability is that Robin's culpability is through her influence of Cody, who put her plans into motion. And the only reason why I give Cody more responsibility in that situation is because at any point, if he would have put his foot down and said, you know what, we're not doing it. I'm not coming over to your house and spending more time at your house. I'm going to spend equal time with my other wives. I'm not going to give you more money than I'm giving them. I'm not going to put you up in $1 million home and have another wife living in a trailer. You know, if he had ever did that, then this situation would be completely different. Now, does this excuse Robin's part of it? No.
Never. Right. No. Okay, maybe 70-30, even 75-25. Yes, sir. Yeah. And we respect you.
She's absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, heck yeah. Whether it's quietly from behind the scenes. I remember clips. I vividly have flashbacks of clips where she pulled him aside in the woods. If you want me to have these kids, I'm going to need you 100%. I need your help. I can't do this. She had him 100% and the nannies, her manipulation, those planting of seeds. Like Christine said, Christine saw the snake coming the day she came in. She's been screaming it from the mountaintop. Nobody would listen to her. Right. I'm her. I agree. I've seen it from the beginning, the snake coming in. And when you had that weak non-alpha male, that's how she got him. She knew just what she walked into.
Right.
And she's so strong. And her fears became the laws of the family. Her COVID fears. My granddaughter and daughter both had RSV. She was preemie. Not my granddaughter, but my daughter was. Still has a colostomy to this day. Has children. Had RSV, pneumonia. Almost died twice in her life. But never. She caught COVID twice and still ain't dead. I'm not downplaying it. But Robin was overplaying it. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Well,
I worked the medical field through it. I bagged them and tagged them. I knew who they were. They had, this bad fever. I knew everybody but you weren't allowed to know who it was legally, but I knew who it was. But we never caught it. They did. I didn't. Same family.
Right. Well, because I think that with the COVID itself gave the cover that they needed for them to be able to conduct themselves the way they wanted to conduct themselves prior to COVID even being a thing. Because when they were in Vegas, I think this is also part of the reason why they wanted to move away from Vegas, because they needed to split the family up more. But if you listen to when Janelle was talking to Christine, they had talked about how Cody would leave their houses, come over their houses like 5-6 o'clock at night, leave their houses in the morning, and go right across the cul-de-sac to Robin's house, where he would sit up all day. And then he would leave her house at like 5-6 o'clock at night, drive over to the other, drive across pull his car out of Robin's garage, drive across the cul-de-sac and pull his car in Christine or Janelle's, because he wasn't staying with Mary, but pull his car into one of the other wives' houses and only stay there for the evening. In which case, he's spending some of the time for dinner. He's spending some of the time sleeping. So it's not really like he's spending time with them. But they were able to make that complaint. So in my mind, it makes sense that they would try to move away from the cul-de-sac and split the family up, so that way you're not sure where Cody is. And then when you're doing, because if you listen to the COVID rules, I'm sorry, I'm kind of going off a little crazy, but if you listen to the COVID rules, what were the COVID rules? Why did COVID break down? The COVID rules weren't just you guys supposed to stay in your house and watch your mail. The COVID rules was you guys aren't supposed to be talking to each other. And the reason why Cody was pissed was because Janelle and Christine were still dealing with each other, because Janelle's kids had grown so accustomed to spending time with Christine and her kids that they kept going over there. So it becomes more apparent where Cody is and what Cody's doing, because these people never stop talking to each other. And that's what the expectation was for Cody. Because if you listen to him, I'm the only one who should be going to everybody else's house. I'm the only one who should be talking to everybody. I don't understand why you guys are not following my rules. That's why he was mad. You know what I mean? So I think, but again, I think that I'm not pardoning, even though I'm blaming Cody. I'm not pardoning Robin, because girlfriend, you was riding with him when he was doing it. And I think you encouraged him to do it. So I think that was part of it too. But I do remember you're talking about that was all part of when they were in the couch and they were talking about the Robin being CFO. that was during the Shark Tank episodes, because the CFO that Cody wanted Robin to take ownership of was
Mhm.
over the prospective $2 million that they were supposed to be getting from the investors.
Oh,
And
okay.
Cody wanted Robin to take the be in charge of the money and how the $2 million was going to be spent, so the two of them could spend that money together. And they didn't
Mhm.
want Janelle to oversee where that money was going and what that money was going to.
Right.
So yeah, I do
Again,
remember that. Yeah.
what everyone said just before me, i.e., in parentheses, the A word, and what would those kinds of men do? Isolation, seclusion, no communication, away from your family, rules and laws so strict like this. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, ding, ding, ding. Or even cult like behavior. Same.
Right. Right. No, I 100% agree. I 100% agree. And there's one point where you had said too that Cody was an alpha male, and he classifies himself as alpha male. The whole thing is that, again, I think his alpha maledom comes from the fact that he was gifted 4 wives from his church. Because he was a part of his church and he was involved in the community he was in, he was allowed to get 3 wives, and then he was allowed to pick up a 4th wife. But it's not like he went out. There's a subtle difference between the way he got 4 women versus a guy who goes out and convinces 4 women to live this type of lifestyle. You understand what I mean? There's a very subtle difference because, we lost Darlene. But when you have that kind of personality, you're the kind of guy who doesn't get led around. Like, you're not the guy whose wife is coming in making suggestions to him and he's following those orders. But if you're a guy who is, I don't want to say weak-minded, but if you're the kind of guy who is basically the dude who isn't pulling 4 women and making them live as sister wives, then it is very possible that you're going to be the guy that is going to get assigned to a wife who's going to kind of lead you around by your nose. Just real quick before I get to Ayana, we have a super chat from Lizzie B, a $2 super chat, allegedly. Yeah, that's why I say, right, Lizzie B, I'm on it. That's why I say I can't prove it. I have no information to substantiate that this is what's going on. Simply my opinion. I'm not even saying it is going on. But if somebody were to come back and say that this happened, I wouldn't be surprised or gobsmacked that accusation was laid. That's all I was saying. I'm not saying this happening at all. So, but I appreciate you backing me up on that. Darlene Hall said her phone died. I appreciate you calling in, though. Thank you so much. It was an excellent call. Appreciate it. Let me do something real quick. Little super. And I got to take a break. We are back. Sorry, guys. Had to take a little run. Oh, man. Sorry about that. Little dead space. If this was like the FCC was involved, boy, I'd be in trouble. All right, but we have one more call from Ayana. Thank you guys so much. Ayana, what's going on?
Hi, James. How are you today?
Doing excellent. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you for asking. I just want to say I've been following your channel now for the last couple of weeks. I got introduced to you through Sarah.
Okay.
So yeah, so I've really just been enjoying your takes on reality. I think you definitely say a lot of what I'm saying. You're very real, very honest. So
Thank you.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate your community too. They're awesome. So let me get into this because I have some thoughts.
Uh-oh.
So first, just kind of going back to the poll. So I voted that I think Cody has always been selfish, and I think part of that is because I think to be a polygamist, and especially in this setup, there's a little bit of you are has to be selfish already, right? To say, hey, I'm gonna take on all these wives, I'm gonna have have all these women, but you can't, you guys are all supposed to serve me, right?
Mhm.
And do whatever I say and ask of you to do. So I think with that, there's already some underlying selfishness there. And then just like how a lot of people were pointing out, the little things that Cody would do to Mary, like bringing in, you marry her ex-sister-in-law, and then not only do you do that, you want to go and try and have the wedding on her birthday, and it takes convincing from all these different people to not do that. For what, like, what did you hate? What did Mary do to you to make you hate her that much? To
Right.
where you say, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and do this to you. And then with Christine, I think when he says he never really was attracted to Christine or really loved her. I think part of that unfortunately is true because he always says when they ask him what is it that you like about Christine, oh, I was attracted to her pedigree. That's the first thing he always goes to.
Right.
And so I feel as though he was always selfish, and then Robin came in and just put that battery in his back for to make him truly just no longer care and no longer carry the mask around that he had been rocking for all those years prior to her of of that quote unquote loving husband. I
Mm.
think she really strongly encouraged that, and then especially when one of my points I've written down is she came in all right off the back while they're recording, playing the ideal wife role, right? So every time he comes over and it's everything's about him, not only from her, but with her
Right.
children too, making her children start calling him dad while they're
Mhm.
courting and while they're dating. I'm sorry, I find that very, very weird. I feel as though you should never force a child to call a quote unquote step parent or potential step parent, mom or dad, prior to when they're ready. And this is for coming
Right.
from someone who grew up solely in a blended family. I always had a stepfather and a stepmother. My parents weren't together, before I was even born. So they always carried long-term partners though. So,
Mhm.
I would address them by Miss or Mr, whatever. And then when I got to a point that I felt comfortable, then I was allowed to start referring to them as mom and dad. And I feel like trying to force that's very strange. And I think that too, this is just my personal opinion, when the adoption happened and you see everyone's reaction, you see, Brianna, she's crying tears of happiness, and you see Dayton and just the shock on his face. Truly, in my opinion, I feel like in his mind, he was going through all these world of emotions of, oh wow, is my dad, does he not want us? Is that why we've been,
Right.
been told to call Cody dad all this time? Is it because he really doesn't want us? Is that really what's going on? So I think because of that, and Cody also allowing it, I think that's why a big reason too why I also believe that he is a very selfish person. He's always been, and then this time and more time around, Robin has made that worse. I want to pause there because I want to get your thoughts before I move on to the next thing.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. No, I'm just fired. But I think you're right on point. I think that ultimately, when push comes down to shove, this is part of the wisdom in picking partners. I think that goes into like the whole thing, like when you're successfully picking partners or whatever the case may be. Like I think that when it comes down to it, knowing the people that you're picking, when it comes to like Robin coming into the family, it didn't have to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
But Robin, I think that you're kind of tapping into what I was saying earlier in the sense that Robin allows Cody to be the man that he always wishes that he was.
100%.
And because she mirrors him that thing back, that's why he's so invested in trying to keep Robin and keeping Robin happy,
Yep,
which
and that's why
allows
her kids are the favorite.
right, exactly, which allows her to, like Darlene was saying, kind of lead him around by the nose because he's so invested in trying to keep this person who is making him feel like the man he always wanted to be, that he allows her to make decisions for him. So I think that that's a huge thing. I also agree with you with regard to like the personal comfort aspect of Cody being called dad. I don't think that Robin insisted that Cody be called dad because she thought it was a way for her kids necessarily to bond with this man who's going to be a father figure in their life. I think that she wanted that to happen and he wanted that to happen because of their personal comfort. If they're calling him dad as opposed to Mr. Cody or Mr. Brown or Uncle Brown, Cody or whatever the case may be, then when they go out to restaurants or places, her kids don't stand out. Her kids kind of blend in with the rest of the family.
Yeah.
And this is also part of the reason why you forced them to change their last names.
Yeah.
Because I also agree with you, because that was one of the things that really bothered me about the adoption episodes was you have Dayton on one end. You can see the confusion, the pain, and the anguish in his face because this whole time, I'm sure that both Cody and Robin, whether justified or not, we're going back telling him consistently that your father don't want you, your father don't want to be around you, your father can't spend no time with you. You think you're hurting Dayton's relationship with this man, not realizing the damage you're inflicting on Dayton's psychology, on his self-esteem, on his ability to be able to connect with other people, because you have him questioning his value to the person who he should mean everything to.
Exactly. And I think too, with Cody, you can clearly see Cody has a thing for his daughters, right? Like he put so much time and attention and everything. So I'm sure, well, I shouldn't say I'm sure because obviously we're not there, we don't know. But in my opinion, I think the girls, Brianna and Aurora, were able to come to terms with it a little bit better because they had been maybe getting that time, that love, that devotion from Cody that, a father you expect a father to get. And Dayton doesn't necessarily get it in that exact same way because I think Cody believes in that kind of like tougher love type of thing with his boys, making them men, making them strong. That he doesn't do that same to his girls. So I think on top of that, now it made Dayton possibly feel very lost in that situation. So I just think, just this whole thing was just done so wrong.
Well, here's a twist though. I don't disagree with that as a possibility, but here's another possibility that's a lot more darker. It's way darker, actually. Not more darker. It's way darker. But Dog James. The thing I was thinking about was the other side of it, where Dayton is showing or displaying his discomfort with what's going on or transpiring, whereas with the young ladies, they may because like the one girl running across the room, diving on Cody. Yes, please, yes.
Yeah.
That didn't come off. I don't want to be a jerk about it, but to me, it just didn't seem as genuine at the time. But it seems like something that these young ladies may be learning, especially from the influence of watching their mom, that when it comes to dealing with guys, you have to be able to manipulate them in a certain way to make them feel like they're the answer and end all and be all to your situations or the solutions to your problems. Whether they are or they aren't, but it's just a form of manipulation. So you learn, oh, I'm so appreciative because there was one point at the same time that young lady was running across, yes, please adopt us, like she's little orphan Annie. There was the point where right after she got adopted and they were sending them to go see Preston, the child's father, they were sending them off to see their dad. she was so excited to go see her dad. And that's where I was like, oh, she wasn't serious. She
Mm,
was, I think she was hurt too. But she has to pretend to be excited. She has to pretend to be ecstatic because that's what Cody expects. Because
yeah, I get
even
what you're
when
saying.
yeah, because even when Cody had said it, Dayton wasn't jumping up and clicking his heel and kissing, which side of your butt cheeks do you want me to kiss, Papa
Right.
Cody? Like he didn't do that. And because he didn't do that, all of a sudden it's what's wrong, man? You act like you're not excited. Aren't you
Yeah.
excited I'm gonna be your dad? Because his full expectation, feeding his ego and for his comfort, was that these kids were supposed to be basically on their hands and knees and worshiping at the feet and praying to the altar of Cody because he's going to take them on as his kids.
100%. And I
And I
think
think
it's
that's disturbing too. Like that's why
yeah.
I'm a big fan. Just to close that out, I'm a big fan of what you said as far as like bonus parents recognizing that you're not there to try to replace anybody. You're
Mhm.
there supplementing people. And if the kids feel comfortable and they feel that connection and they feel that need, and they feel like you've traversed or transformed from that position where you're, say, bonus Mr. Tom or Mr. James to dad, that's up to the child because it's on them to feel that.
Yes.
It's not a title, it's a feeling that they have, it's the commitment that they have, and the
Yeah.
way that they see you, not the way you see yourself. It's the way that they see you. It's about them.
Yes.
It's not about you. And I think that in this case, it was about Cody and Robin. I'm sorry, but go ahead.
I agree. No, I definitely agree with you. And then it just really makes me wonder what conversations, prior to Robin moving, and then I should just say in general, when Cody isn't around, what conversations is Robin having with her kids? What is she telling them? What is she instructing them? Because to let's just fast forward to now, you see the anxiety that Brianna has, right? How anxious, how on edge these girls seem to be all the time, right?
Mhm.
And it just really makes me wonder, like, are they, what kind of things were being instilled in them by Robin, but then also how did Cody act? Because I remember the clip of them talking about how unapproachable Cody is or can be, and he doesn't realize it. And then if you take it even back, how anxious Robin always was about her kids and anything they did, like that clip of them being up on a, what was it, like a cliff, or they were climbing something and she's yelling,
Yeah.
Dave and Brianna, Aurora, sit down, and it's just
Right.
that whole, like, not saying she wasn't letting them be kids, but yeah, like she's a very anxious parent. She's a very,
Right.
very anxious person. And so it just like it made me question, you know, why is it that these her kids specifically seem to be so not emotionally well, in
Mhm.
comparison, if mom and dad are there all the time.
Right.
Why is it that what's causing that? And I'm not saying that obviously every two, I say that all the time. Just because you have a two parent household doesn't mean anything if the situation and environment is toxic.
Right.
So it makes me wonder, wonder there. So I just kind of just getting off of that. I just wanted to mention that. And I just had this one last thing I wanted to say. Just kind of going back to my comment earlier about Robin forcing, Cody, the family to conform to her way of polygamy. I agree with you 100%. I think Cody, I just couldn't fit it in my comment, but 100%. Robin, with them picking up and them moving to Vegas was, in my opinion, definitely just outside of her coming into the family in general, that was really when the cracks seriously started to show and little pieces start falling off little by little to and breaking that foundation down. Them, though they were all in one cul-de-sac together and right in next door neighbors, they weren't
Mhm.
together anymore in the same way that they used to be, in the same way that the family was used to being, right?
Right.
They were no longer they had a system in place that had worked for them for how many years before she came in, and now she comes in And now Cody decides all of a sudden, you know what? We're gonna go to Vegas and get this pilot in. And instead of doing another big old house, let's do 4 little individual ones and keep everyone separate so that way I can go and, like you said, spend as
Yeah.
much time over Robin's house as much as I want. And I don't have to worry about my paradise over here being, interrupted by one of my other kids, and I notice he always makes a point to say Mary's kids or I mean Janelle's kids and Christine's kids, not our, not my kids. No, it's their kids, right? It's always us versus them. But so my paradise doesn't have to be interrupted. And then again, they move further away, go to Arizona, and now it's everyone's all really spread out. So now you really can't easily just come around and peek and see where I'm at. And yeah, I think them conforming to that way, like you said, one allowed Robin to keep that kind of honeymoon-ish vibe at her home that she said she wanted it to always be, that they wanted to always be, but also allowed them to further separate themselves from the family. I think she truly wanted to live monogamy within polygamy within this family, and that just is impossible. If that is the case, you should have never joined.
Right, right. Well, I would even say this. If that's what you wanted to do, you should have joined a family where that was the culture within that family.
Yeah.
Like you don't join a family like because there's probably a million ways to do polygamy, and maybe 3 of them might be actually healthy. I don't know, but that like to me it wouldn't work. I don't think it works well if you have like a family here and a family there. That's not really polygamy. That's just you having side people. Like
Yeah.
so, at least that's how that's maybe that's my prejudice, but that's how Robin approached it, and that was her style of polygamy because that's what she watched her mom do. Like her
Yeah.
dad, as she said in last week's episode, my daddy would go to his wife's house Monday through Friday, and he would come over to our house on the weekends. So you were the weekend family.
Yeah.
And then she tried to implement that style of polygamy into the Brown family, who they were all living in one house. That's why it's so weird that Cody always points to Christine and like she destroyed the family because
Yeah.
I had the one house idea and she pushed against it. The one you're living with pushed against it. What are you talking about? Like you're living with the one who didn't want to live in one house, because if you notice, Robin, if she believes, and I say this full-throated, anything Robin believes, if she believes in it strongly, she will stand up and say whatever it is she believes. Like if she
Yep.
really is determined on it, she'll say it. She never not once said anything about living in a house with anybody. She didn't
Mhm.
have, as far as if you go back and look through those previous episodes, never not once did she actually give an opinion for or against living in one house,
Yep.
which tells me that she didn't want to do it. Because Christine
100%.
was on fire saying, I'm not doing it. I refuse to do it. So at that point, kind of what I was saying earlier about Cody and polygamy and his not having to be the nasty guy because he had a church and community that was going to do it for him. Robin didn't have to come out and say she was against living in one house because Christine had already came out and she had said enough for everybody.
Yep.
Because she
And
was like,
so
you'll be dragging my dead ass in that house before I move in there with
and it allowed Robin to escape any blame, and it
right,
allowed Cody to avoid having to put any blame on her.
right, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Good point. Good point. Well, I think that's all I have.
Okay.
I appreciate you for letting me come in on and giving my, my 2 cents. And I look forward to more videos. I do want to actually, I'm sorry, I do want to ask you just one question. Would love to hear your opinion. So, do you, just in your opinion, I know we can't know, but in your opinion, do you think that if they would have stayed in Utah, was there any possibility that they could have potentially made this work and stayed together as a family, or do you think this would have always come and maybe just a little bit slower than what it's happening? But what do you think?
In fairness, I think that thank you so much for the question. I think that in my opinion, no proof to prove this, but in my opinion, if they would have stayed in Utah, they most likely would have stayed a family unit.
Mm.
And the reason I say that is because in Utah, it would have just been the fact that they were closer together and all that, or they were in one house or whatever the case may be. But in Utah, they had the support of their community, their
Right.
church, and the influences of those other outside forces. So when one of the wives wanted to step out of that realm, like for instance, the whole catfish thing,
Yeah.
the catfish episode, the reason why I think that's so important to talk about, not just because it's embarrassing to Mary, like I totally understand why she did what she did, but I think that what the catfish episode taught the other women was if you leave me, this is what's going to happen to you. Now imagine
Mm.
that scenario where it's not just the family who's shunning Mary and making Mary feel bad, but when
The
she
whole
goes to the corner
community.
store and she sees friends of the family, she's being shunned. When she goes to church, because they're still going to church services, she shows up and everybody's talking crap behind her back and everything else. That not only discourages any free thought from the individual who does the action, it also teaches the other women that they can't ever even try to leave,
Yeah.
because this is
Mm.
what's going to happen. So if they would have stayed in Utah, I think that the social forces as well as the religious institutional pressures would have kept that family together.
Yeah.
It would have forced them to stay
That's a good
together.
point.
Whereas coming to Vegas, they had more open and free range. They were meeting different people. The kids, I think, prospered because they were coming into contact with different individuals' viewpoints and everything else. A lot of the feelings they were having as far as not wanting to do polygamy were being validated by the friends and people they were coming in contact with. So I think that not only freed the ladies from being in this family, but it also, for a large part, enabled the children to break away from the AUB and to break away from a lot of the ties that would have held them as well. So,
I love that perspective. Yeah, I
no,
mean
thank you.
they left their bubble. That's really what it
Yes.
came. They left their bubble, like you said. They left their community and the where they went, Vegas of all places. Kind of, yeah, allowed them to kind of to see something different than they had ever experienced and get different yeah, get different perspectives. So
Mhm.
that's a good point. That's a really really good point. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I
Yeah.
appreciate you calling in. Thanks.
No, yeah, thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I heard someone say something about you being safe. I'm not sure where you're located, but I hope you are staying safe wherever you are. I'm in Southeast Jersey. I'm not too far from Philly, so
Yes,
the
yes. I'm
plane
up in the
just.
tri-state as well. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
I got
okay.
you.
So, hey, neighbor. No.
All right.
So yeah. So okay. So then you understand then what I'm referring to about what just happened. So
Yes.
yeah, definitely glad that you're safe, and I hope you and your family, where everyone is, everyone listening. I hope you guys also continue to stay safe and have a great Sunday. And go Eagles. That's all I
There you
got.
go. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. My cousin's down there now, so I know what you say. I
Yeah.
got a cousin
Okay.
down there. So yeah, yeah. But thank you so much. I appreciate you calling in. Thank you for your perspective and the questions and all your input. It was awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank
Have
you.
a fantastic Sunday.
You too. Take
All right.
care.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Fantastic. Thank you guys so much. I have some super chats to close out with, and I appreciate everybody staying chill on this. And I also appreciate so many people calling in, logging in, and giving your perspectives as far as the chat is concerned. I know this was like a last minute deal. I think I might try to do some more Sunday shows because I think these are kind of fun. I really like talking to folks, so I'm that guy. But but yeah, thank you guys so much. We have Raiders Ma coming in with the $4.99 super chat. Do you think Mary really knew about Cody's college sexy time before the rest of us? And if so, before or after their wedding? Because after would have been fraud. Here's the thing. I don't think Cody told Mary about the college sexy time. In fact, I'll say this. I don't think he told Mary about the college sexy time before they were married. because he's trying to hold up the good, I'm the good soldier, I'm the good guy, and I'm the this, and I want to be a part of this faith. So he's trying to be a joiner at that point. So I don't think he told him it in the beginning. That's just my opinion. I think that he told her after they were already married. And here's the crazy part. I can see that conversation happening during the course of an argument where Cody is trying to one-up Mary and say something that's going to hurt her feelings and make her feel bad. I could see him revealing to her at that point that this is something that he did. And then after he reveals that he hurts her sufficiently, they go back and they each go to their separate corners. And then when they come back together, he does the whole cry. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry I said that. Please don't tell anybody because it's embarrassing. Oh my goodness, this will just be a secret between the two of us. And that creates a linchpin where Mary doesn't necessarily want to go back and tell anybody else this is what's going on, because that secret between the two of them becomes a sacred thing between the two of them. And that becomes a special bond or a special tie that she would have with him. So do I think that he told her? Yes. Do I think he told her before they were married? No. Do I think that when he did tell her, it was probably in the course of an argument and he probably tried to say that to hurt her feelings? That's just my opinion based on what I'm seeing on this show. I could be wrong. I could very well be wrong. But thank you so much, Raider Ma. I appreciate the question and the super chat. Also, we have Shannon Lee 8. I think that's right. Hopefully I got it right. 999 super chat about Cody and Robin's relationship with their daughters. Apparently tonight's episode has them wanting to get baptized. And it's probably not a Cody approved Mormon church. I don't think it's a Robin approved Mormon church. How about that? Because I do think that there's a point where Robin might be excited about having a little storyline with the daughters joining the church, and she might even be excited about them being interested in religion, because if she can get them tied into the Mormon faith, then that is a doorway to walk through so that they can be indoctrinated into the AUB church. Because according to Notes to Self 444, Robin has had conversations with the current prophet, and they're not. She's not on the outside. Cody's on the outside. Cody's way on the outside, and there's some things that Cody could come back, but he'd have to do some things to come back. He'd have to put some work in to come back. Robin could come back if Robin and Cody got divorced tomorrow. Robin could go back to the church. And if Robin goes back to the church, she's not going to want to leave her kids. At least from what I see on the TV show, I don't think Robin will want to leave her kids out there in the wild. She's going to bring her kids with her. And so if they join a church and they're interested in going to a Mormon church, then I think that that's a doorway, a gateway, if you will, to the AUB faith. However, if they get baptized as adults into the Mormon LDS church, then that could create a problem for they're transitioning into the AUB, because that's also a level of commitment into the church. Too, they're going to start going to more masses. They're going to start being more involved with that particular church, and it's going to be harder to wick them away from that church into the AUB back under her umbrella. I think it's going to be more of a power and control issue, which is why I wanted to do this live today, talking about power. So thank you very much for the super chat. Let me give you guys a little something. Raiders Ma and Shannon Lee 8. Let me give you guys a little something. Thank you guys so much for the super chat. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I have a hard stop. I have to Brittany, not Brittany, what's going on? Jumping in. I see you. Yeah, I got a hard stop. I gotta go do something for my daughter real quick. But I appreciate you guys jumping in. I know it was like a short notice thing. Brittany, not Brittany, Carmel Cuties, Lizzie B. Guys, hit me up on the email. I'm gonna create an email chain so I can notify you guys, or at least let you guys know when I'm going to be proposing to do live, so that way I'm not hitting you guys like off the craziness. I appreciate these guys. I'm gonna tell you guys right now. Brittany, not Brittany, Lizzie B, OG Lizzie B, and Carmel Cuties are soldiers, true soldiers to the end, because I'll done these like this live is a little haphazard, and they jumped on anyway. They helped me out by moderating. So big shout out to the moderators for keeping everything cool in the chat. I appreciate you guys in the chat as well, because without you guys, I would be sitting there talking to myself, and that would be kind of boring and lame. But you guys not only are participating in the chat, but you guys are making some really good comments and some excellent points. See, I have a smart audience. I love it. I love it. My audience is smart. You guys are smarties. So I appreciate you guys keeping everything chill in the chat. I appreciate you guys participating. I appreciate my moderators holding everything down. Let me give a little something to the moderators, the chat, as well as the callers, the people who called in today. Awesome commentary. I appreciate the conversation. Let me give you guys a little something. Yeah. And tonight, guys, we are going to be back in full effect for the after show party. Yes, we're doing the after show party. James, you doing after show? You going to be up for after show? You know I'm doing after show, because tonight might be the night. Tonight I might be on one, depending on how this show goes. I'm telling you right now, little forewarning, I might be on one tonight and watching Cody, depending on how they react to these young ladies when they come to them and say, look, I found something I'm interested in and I would like to pursue it, especially on the tail end of Cody talking to these young ladies about having children and them bringing forth life and how many kids you're going to have. And then you're going to turn around and tell them whether they can go to church or not. You talking to them about kids and they can't even decide what church to go to. Make it make sense. We're going to have a conversation tonight, guys. So I look forward to seeing anybody who wants to come in for the after show. If you guys are here for the after, like you're watching, I guess what they call it, the rewatch, your rewatch party for this live, or even for tonight's live, that's cool. Make sure you hit the thumbs up and the like button. Subscribe to the channel, because like today, you never know when I might drop a crazy live and we're going to do it. Also, tomorrow, Monday, I'm going to be on with Sarah from Reality Squad. That's going to be off the hook, 7 p.m. We're going to be talking some mad trash. You know, we're going to be, you know how we do. It's going to be wild. If you guys have any suggestions, just the last thing, if you guys have any suggestions as far as any content creators or anybody, whether it's sister wives, love after lockup, or any other thing, crime and reality or whatever, crime and punishment, any content creators you want me to collab with, go ahead, send me their contact information, or just send me the person that you want me to collab with to MyTakeOnRealityQuestions. I'll see if I can make it happen, because I love having conversations. I appreciate you guys so much, and thank you for joining me. I will see some of you tonight, and for those I don't, I hope that you have a fantastic Sunday and an awesome rest of your week. Make sure you take care of yourself and love those who you're with, as well as take care of the people who are taking care of you. That's my take. I'm James. This has been My Take on Reality, and I'm out.